the protagonist wizard is named Caleb. He immediately allocated these points into wisdom. But a screen suddenly appeared, revealing a final mission, the most difficult one he had ever faced. He accepted it, and his screen shot out a burst of blue light that grew stronger every second, and everything disappeared. Meme Guard is yelling again. His spit hits Caleb's face, but Caleb doesn't blink. He just listens. Typical. He thinks his volume makes him powerful. Look at that eye. Red. Cold. This isn't the gaze of a victim. It's the gaze of a player who knows the ending. A single eye watching, waiting. The guard grabs him, shaking the broken boy. But Caleb smiles. A cold, wrong smile. Why? Because being a slave is just a temporary debuff. The collar is just a piece of metal. Anger flares in the guard's eyes. He hates what he can't break. Gritted teeth. A masterpiece of unearned rage. One strike. Caleb hits the dirt. The ground is cold. Reality is harder. This is the developer difficulty. No save points here. Discarded like trash. Mean Guard walks away, leaving him in the dust. He thinks he's won. He's just walking away from the main character. Bad move. Fingers clench. Bone against fabric. Rage isn't loud here. It's quiet. A silent promise that revenge is a dish best served in turns. The gate to the abyssal labyrinth. Instructor/master stands there looking holy while the slaves tremble. Yahello, a fragile elf, looks like she's already at her own funeral. The master's mouth moves. Lies about freedom and glory fall out like poison wrapped in hope. Survival is the only law here. He tells them they can be free. He lies with every breath. He sounds so convincing if you ignore the meat-grinder behind him. Gold. Freedom. The Magic Academy. The ultimate get-rich-quick scheme. It's the perfect bait for those about to die. Our furry collar boy is watching, his hand in shock of what is happening around him. Caleb feels the cold iron of the collar. Even pro gamers get the jitters when their life is the only life they have left. He's not a hero yet. He's property. The ruins loom. Ancient, desolate. A tomb made of stone and shadows. Most never come back. Welcome to the tutorial. The squad moves in, Caleb, Yahello, and the rest of the fodder, who clearly didn't read the terms and conditions. Each step is a countdown. Red eyes pierce the dark. Caleb's instincts are screaming. He's checking the UI. Or maybe he's just realized how screwed they really are. Creatures from the deep. Goblins with hunger in their eyes. The welcoming committee is here, and they aren't here to talk. No fear. Just calculation. Caleb looks at the monsters like they're just another mechanic to exploit. He's looking for the bug in the system. The large man whimpers. Yahello is paralyzed, and the masked man from the fodder starts to laugh. Hysteria is a slow poison. Laughter in the dark. That's the sound of her brain hitting Alt F4. He's already seen the end. He's done. Caleb watches them crumble. The fear. The pathetic weakness of it all. This is the reality of the abyss. Betrayal and fear are all that's left. The ambush starts. The first spear whistles through the air. Caleb yells. Panic? No. Adrenaline. It's not a game anymore. The large man runs. Panic is his only guide. Solid strategy if you want to be a walking snack. He thinks he can escape the inevitable. He's wrong. Caleb locks in. The red glow in his eyes intensifies. The rage is finally boiling over. He won't die as a slave. The developer difficulty has truly begun. A sharp flash of red. A scream cut short. The madman is pinned to the wall, a bloody new decoration for the hallway. The labyrinth has officially claimed its first tribute. A goblin looms close, grinning with predatory joy. Those blue eyes see an easy kill. It thinks the match is already over. It has no idea Caleb is about to change the rules. Your turn is over. Yahello is paralyzed by the sight. Blood. A spear through the back. The madman's laughter died with his lungs before it could leave his throat. It's hard to predict the future when you're already part of the past. Death is fast when you're fodder. One strike, and the crazy guy's oracle becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yahello can only watch as the first member of their party is deleted from reality. Group projects are always a nightmare. Goblins. They love this part. The screaming, the smell of fear. To them, this isn't a fight, it's a dinner reservation, and the guests have already arrived. Those glowing eyes aren't looking for a challenge, they're looking for a meet. Chaos. Screams. Urinal hits the floor, her voice cracking in the dark as her world collapses. The team is already falling apart. Caleb stands alone, watching the carnage with eyes that have seen too many game overs. One eye, red and focused. Caleb isn't a hero yet. He's just a man realizing that death doesn't come with a continue button here. Sweat is the only thing moving in this hallway of death. They're coming, short, green, and eager to gut him. The hallway is narrow. Escape is a fairy tale. The goblins don't care about his backstory. They just want the kill. Look closer. The red isn't just a color, it's a countdown. Caleb's heart is hammering against his ribs, begging for a way out of this nightmare. The abyss is staring back, and it looks hungry. 2 blades, 1 target. The goblins lunge with predatory grace. They're fast, too fast for a slave in rags and a heavy iron collar. This is where most tutorials end. This is it. The end of the road. The blade is inches away, cold and jagged. Caleb can smell the rust on the steel. He's about to be deleted from existence before he even learns the controls. Sudden silence. Reality snaps. The hourglass activates. Time is now Caleb's property. 60 seconds to solve a death sentence. Emergency situations require emergency measures. The game just gave him a fighting chance. Gears. Clockwork. The developer difficulty just provided a loophole. Inside Caleb's eye, time is measured in gold and iron. The world stops breathing. Only the mind remains active. 5 words that change everything. It is your turn. The game just became a turn-based nightmare for everyone else. When the world stops, the strategist wakes up. Time to play. The hourglass looms, a symbol of absolute control in a world of chaos. It's the ultimate pause button. Too bad the goblins don't get a chance to save their progress. Frozen. The goblin is mid-swing, a statue of malice caught in a frame. Urinal is a portrait of terror in the background. 56 seconds left on the clock. Plenty of time to reorganize the furniture. Caleb stares at the steel. If time were moving, he'd be a memory. Now, he's the architect of their ruin. He has all the time in the world to plan his escape. Or his revenge. 54 seconds. Urinal is trapped in a single moment of despair. She doesn't know her savior is a hardcore gamer with a god complex. For her, time is stopped. For him, it's just getting started. Caleb tests his limbs. Every physical movement costs something. AP action points. The currency of survival. He's physically weak, practically broke. Moving his arm feels like spending his last cent. A system bar. A limit. In this world, you pay for every step you take. 4 AP. It's a pathetic amount for someone trying to live. The developer difficulty isn't pulling any punches. Determination. If the rules are fixed, he just has to find the exploit. He's done this 1,000 times behind a screen. Now his life depends on finding the bug in the code. Think, Caleb. Think. A realization. A spark in the red eyes. Caleb looks around the frozen hallway. The system has a flaw. A big, beautiful oversight left behind by the creators. Time to test the theory. He speaks, and the bar doesn't move. Words are free. Communication is a chat function, and in this game, chat doesn't cost AP. Talk is cheap, but it might just save his life. Imagine paying for every word. Social media would be a graveyard. The ultimate game breaker. He doesn't need to swing a sword or move a muscle. He just needs to say the word. The system log confirms it. Caleb casts Fireball. No movement required. Just a command. Look at those eyes. He's found the glitch, and he's going to abuse it until the entire labyrinth breaks. A gamer's dream. A goblin's nightmare. The turn is finally starting to feel fair. The goblins remain suspended, fangs bared, trapped in a turn that belongs only to Caleb. They're already dead, just waiting for the clock to restart and the execution to begin. Patience is a virtue, even for monsters about to burn. 41 seconds left. Caleb stares down his would-be killers and prepares the final blow. He's no longer just a slave in rags. He's the man who broke the tutorial on day 1. One word is all it takes to end this. Fireball. Ready. Aim. One command. That's all it takes to overwrite destiny. Caleb screams the word into the frozen silence. Fireball. The system doesn't care about his status as a slave. It only cares that he knows the right words. Ignition. The system registers the input. The bug is officially exploited. A tiny spark becomes a blinding inferno in a world that wasn't ready for a turn-based god. Imagine having your life saved by a technicality. Pure gamer luck. The hallway turns into an oven. The goblins don't even have time to scream or feel the heat. They're just data being deleted by fire. This isn't a battle. It's a server wipe. A wave of flames incinerates everything in its path. This isn't a fight anymore. It's an execution. The smell of burnt ozone and goblin fills the air, marking the end of the tutorial's first major obstacle. Urinal stares, her blue eyes wide with a new kind of terror. She thought she was dying. Now, she realizes she's just witnessed a miracle performed by a criminal. It's hard to pick a side when everyone looks like a threat. The smoke settles. The hallway is a graveyard of ash and charred stone. Caleb stands tall, the sole architect of this massacre. The silence that follows is heavier than the screaming was. Every breath burns. The mana drain is real. The physical toll is even worse. Caleb clutches his throat, feeling the iron collar bite into his skin, a reminder that even with godlike power, he's still property. Life is just one big irony. Another body for the stone floor. The madman's prophecy finally came true. He's a permanent part of the labyrinth now. At least he doesn't have to worry about his social credit score anymore. A cheap wand. In anyone else's hands, it's trash. In Caleb's, it's a master key to the system. Knowledge is the only stat that truly matters when you're playing against the developers. Items are just tools. The mind is the weapon. Memories of a past life flicker like a dying screen. A powerful mage. A legend. A king of the labyrinth. It's a long fall from the top, but the view from the bottom gives you a much better perspective on where to stick the knife. Caleb stands among the ruins of his first victory. Yurnal is a broken mess on the floor, huddled in the corner. She's alive, but she's not safe. In this world, survival is a full-time job with no benefits. Rule number 1. The dead don't need their gear. Caleb loots the fallen without a second thought. Efficiency over empathy. Every time. It's not grave robbing if you're technically just recycling, right? Environmentalism at its finest. The red eye is cold, calculating. It doesn't see people. It sees variables. There's no room for mercy when your life is measured in turns and action points. Feeling bad doesn't boost your stats. Yurnal flinches when he looks at her. She sees a monster wearing a slave's skin. She's not wrong. The man who entered this labyrinth died the moment that fireball left his hand. Something else has taken his place. She's crying, shouting, demanding answers he isn't ready to give. She doesn't realize that in this place, questions are just a waste of precious oxygen. Silence is the only language the labyrinth understands. Exhaustion hits like a truck. Caleb gasps, his body pushed far beyond its physical limits. Breaking the game isn't as easy as it looks from behind a monitor. Reality has a way of making you pay for your shortcuts. A new dagger, a minor upgrade, a small victory in a war that has only just begun. It's not much, but it's more than he had 5 minutes ago. The grind is real, even when you're transmigrated. He looks at the elf. She's a liability, a weight, a potential game over waiting to happen. But maybe, just maybe, she can be a tool. Every party needs a support, even if they spend half the time crying. Caleb moves forward. He doesn't wait for her to stop crying. In the abyssal labyrinth, you either keep up or you become part of the background scenery. The first turn is over. The rest of the game is just beginning. The world didn't end with a whimper. It ended with a roar. Years ago, the abyssal labyrinth burst open, a festering wound on the world's surface. Just another Monday in this godforsaken world. Monsters flooded out like a tide of teeth and claws. Mages died. Heroes fell. The surface became a graveyard for the brave and the foolish alike. Skill issue? Maybe. But for the rest of us, it was a death sentence. Now, humanity survives by throwing garbage into the dark. Slaves. Fodder for the labyrinth. Caleb walks through the shadows of the first floor, a heavy collar around his neck. Beside him, Yurnal, an elf who talks too much to keep the fear from swallowing her whole. Typical NPC energy. Caleb doesn't listen to her trauma dump. He's busy calculating. In this body, in this hell, one wrong step is the end of the run. and he's not planning on losing. Not again. Yurnel's voice trembles as she recounts how she was framed and sold. A tragic backstory in a world that doesn't care. Caleb stays silent. Silence is a luxury they can't afford, yet it's all he has to offer. They move deeper into the cold stone corridors. Every shadow feels like a threat. Every echo feels like a countdown. Caleb knows the rules: survive first, feel later, if ever. Suddenly, Yurnel stops. Her eyes widen. That look, the universal sign that someone just messed up big time. She stepped on something that doesn't belong. Caleb's gaze snaps down. His red eyes pierce the gloom. In a heartbeat, his mind shifts gears. The game is changing. The casual walking simulator just became a horror survival. A trap. A nail bomb. If she lifts her foot, it's game over for both of them. Caleb grits his teeth. He can't let his only companion blow up just yet. He looks at the shaking elf. She's terrified, paralyzed. The air is heavy with the scent of old dust and impending fire. Time to carry this lobby. Caleb moves. It's not a panic. It's a calculated intervention. He needs her quiet, and he needs her alive. For now, Yurnel, don't move. Don't breathe. Yurnel, please be quiet. His voice is a cold blade in the dark. He reaches for his secret weapon. The one thing that makes him the developer of his own fate. The turn-based hourglass. Time to stop the clock. The hourglass shatters the flow of reality. The gears of the world grind to a halt. Everything turns blue, frozen in a static frame. Welcome to Caleb's turn. Truly a broken mechanic. But I'm not complaining. 59 seconds. That's all he has. 1 minute to solve a puzzle that usually costs a life. The countdown starts. A digital heartbeat in a world of silence. No pressure. 58 seconds. He analyzes the trap. A nail bomb. High pressure, immediate detonation on release. It's a cruel joke designed by someone who hates people. Probably a developer. Oh wait, that's him. Ironic. He stands over her, his mind a whirlwind of logic and math. To save her, he has to take her place. He has to step into the mouth of the beast and hope it doesn't bite down too hard. Yurnel looks up at him, her eyes pleading. She doesn't understand what's happening. She just sees Caleb, her fellow slave, looking at her with eyes like cold embers. Scary? Yes. Helpful? Also yes. Caleb's eyes glow with intensity. Every action point matters. Every second is a resource. He's not just a slave anymore. He's a player manipulating the very rules of existence. Main character syndrome is kicking in hard. He scans the area. He needs a weight. Something to replace the pressure. His mind maps out the dungeon floor, looking for any exploit, any loophole. He's a mage who thinks like a coder. Dangerous combo. Frustration flickers in his mind. The AP bar is draining. The system is rigid, demanding a price for every move. He's working against a world that wants him dead, and the world is winning on points. Not today, game. Not today. The trap is a predator waiting for its prey to let go. Caleb knows exactly what will happen if he fails. Fire. Shrapnel. A quick trip back to the title screen. This is peak difficulty, and he's loving the challenge. Sort of. The vision of the explosion looms in his mind. A warning from his strategic brain. He can't just move. He has to swap. He reaches out, his hands steady despite the literal bomb under his feet. Time is running out. Level up or die trying. As they struggle with the trap, shadows emerge from the dark. Goblins. Scavengers of the labyrinth, attracted by the scent of fear and the promise of flesh. Just when things couldn't get any worse, the mobs show up. Typical. Chaos is a heavy weight. The trap is pinned, the goblins are closing in, and Yurnel is spiraling into total panic. They are on the edge of a pit that only leads down. No escape. No mistakes allowed. 7 seconds. 6. Caleb is a mask of lethal focus. The goblins are lunging. The bomb is a hair trigger from hell, and the turn is slipping away. He doesn't look at the threat. He looks at the remaining time. 4 seconds. 3. Caleb's mind screams under the pressure. The slave collar is a noose, the floor is a grave, and time is a luxury he doesn't have. He's done being the victim. He's done being the victim. He's done playing by their rules. 1 second left. He doesn't hesitate. He shoves Urinal aside with the cold efficiency of someone discarding a broken tool. It's not an act of kindness. It's a tactical repositioning. If she dies, he loses his only guide. He won't let his investment blow up. The click of the trap echoes in the silence of the turn. His boot replaces hers. The pressure remains constant. A delicate, deadly dance on a hair trigger. One twitch and the game over screen is the only thing he'll see. Urinal is thrown back, gasping in shock. She looks at Caleb, this silent, cold man who just took a bomb for her. She doesn't see the calculation. She only sees the sacrifice. Total main character energy, but he's just trying to survive the level. Caleb exhales slowly, his red eyes burning through the gloom. The turn is still active, but his body feels heavy. Every breath is a risk. Every heartbeat is a gamble. He's staring down the void and he's not blinking. He's locked in place. A nail bomb, vicious, messy, very permanent. The dungeon is trying to collect its debt. Caleb refuses to pay. Not today, not ever. He doesn't waste breath on comfort. He doesn't have the mana for empathy. He just looks at Urinal, his gaze as cold as the stone around them. He needs her to move, now. Urinal's eyes are wide blue pools of terror. She looks at the trap, then at him. The weight of her own helplessness is crushing her. She's finally realizing that in this labyrinth, fear is a death sentence. Caleb points into the darkness. Go, find something heavy. He doesn't explain. He doesn't need to. Urinal flees into the shadows, her footsteps a frantic rhythm against the silence. She's running for her life, and his, alone in the blue-tinted frieze of the turn. The silence is heavy, pressing against his ears. Caleb grits his teeth, his rage simmering just below the surface. The humiliation of being treated like fodder is the fuel that keeps him upright. A close-up of his eye reveals no fear, only logic. A pro gamer doesn't tilt. They exploit the engine. He's analyzing every variable, every pixel of this nightmare. He's not a victim. He's a player waiting for his turn to strike back. Time stretches thin. Then, a voice from the dark. Urinal hasn't abandoned him. She's back. She actually returned to the scene of the crime. Remarkable NPC loyalty. Or maybe she just realizes she's doomed without him. She's rolling a massive wooden barrel, her face a mask of strain. Every inch is a struggle. She's giving everything she has to the man who shoved her into the dirt. Ironic. But useful. Caleb reaches for his wand. It's a simple tool, but in his hands, it's a surgeon's blade. He doesn't need strength. He needs precision. The operation begins now. He targets the barrel. The mechanics are simple. The execution must be flawless. He's manipulating the physics of the dungeon, forcing the environment to follow his command. No more walking on eggshells. Time to move some weight. The wand glows with a sickly green light. Telekinesis. He lifts the barrel with his mind. The mana drained a sharp bite in his chest. He hovers the weight over the pressure plate like a guillotine waiting for its mark. The barrel drops. The trap triggers. Caleb and Urinal dive for cover as the corridor erupts in fire and iron. The labyrinth tries to swallow them whole, but Caleb has already found a way out of its throat. Not today, dungeon. Not today. The roar of the explosion dies down. Smoke fills the hall, thick and bitter. Caleb stands among the ruins, soot-stained and silent. Behind him, Urinal is shaking, her wide eyes staring at the space where they almost died. Just another Tuesday in hell. Caleb looks at his companion. Yes, she whispers, her voice barely a thread. She's broken, terrified, but alive. He doesn't offer a hand. He doesn't offer comfort. He only offers survival. And that's the most expensive thing in this world. A scorched crater is all that remains of the trap. A black scar on the dungeon floor. It's a quiet reminder of how close they came to the void. The labyrinth missed its bite. Caleb won't give it a second chance. The system intervenes. 10 ability points. Caleb doesn't hesitate. He dumps every single one into wisdom. Strength is for those who hit things. Wisdom is for those who rewrite the rules. Going for the ultimate glass cannon build. Bold move. Let's see if it pays off. The power settles into his veins like ice water. He feels the magic surge, sharper, more violent. His red eyes glow with a new, dangerous clarity. He's not just a slave anymore. He's a threat. and the dungeon is starting to notice. Move. Fireball. The commands are short. The intent is total. He's done playing defense. He's done hiding. He's ready to turn this labyrinth into a slaughterhouse. Command so cold they probably gave the goblins a frostbite before the fire even hit. A green, bandaged foot steps into the light. Goblins. The bottom-tier trash of the dungeon. They've heard the noise. They've smelled the fear. They think they've found a free lunch. Poor things. They have no idea they just walked into a boss room with a max-level player. Caleb smiles, a jagged, ruthless expression. The stats are allocated. The min-maxing is done. Now, he's looking for a high score. The goblins are about to find out exactly what happens when you interrupt a man while he's rewriting the rules of reality. The goblins laugh. A raspy, wet sound that echoes against the stone. They see two slaves. They see a meal. They don't see the man who just rewrote his own stat sheet. Mistake number 1. Mistake number 1. Mistake number last. Fire. It doesn't just burn, it cleanses. Caleb doesn't just cast a spell, he executes a macro. The air hisses as the temperature skyrockets. Someone call the fire department. Oh wait, there isn't one. Just Caleb and his favorite toy. 1 fireball is a threat. 3 is an execution. Caleb calculates the cost in action points and finds the balance perfect. The goblins stop laughing. Realizing you're in a high-level zone when you're a level 1 mob? Unlucky. He points his wand like a conductor leading a symphony of destruction. His eyes are red, cold, and entirely focused on the geometry of the kill. No wasted movement. No wasted mercy. This is the efficiency of a player who has seen it all before. The heat is absolute. It peels the shadows from the walls and turns the corridor into an oven. Caleb stands in the center of the storm, unblinking. He's not just killing monsters, he's testing the limits of his new hardware. Benchmarking, but with more screaming. The fireballs roar down the hallway, hungry and inevitable. There is nowhere to hide. There is no armor thick enough. In this labyrinth, Majiki's the only true authority. And Caleb just declared martial law. Explosions ripple through the dark. The goblins are silenced, turned into pillars of salt and flame. The sound is deafening, a roar of triumph that shakes the very foundations of the first floor. This is what 10 points in wisdom looks like. Absolute cinema, ashes to ashes, trash mobs to XP. The hallway is littered with the smoldering remains of the scavengers. Caleb's staff rests in his hand, its work done. For now. The scent of burnt flesh and ozone hangs heavy in the air. Smells like progress. Caleb watches the fire die down. His expression is unreadable. Behind him, Urinal is a statue of disbelief. She's seen mages before, but never one in rags. Never one who looked like he owned the hell he was walking through. Really? Her voice is a whisper, a mix of fear and awe. She looks at the crater, then at the man beside her. She's trying to reconcile the slave she knew with the god she just saw. Spoiler alert, you can't. He's just built different. She looks down at the scorched floor, her mind spinning. The labyrinth is a cruel place, but Caleb is something else entirely. He's a variable she didn't account for. A light in the dark that might just burn her if she gets too close. They move on, stepping over the charred remains. The fire still flickers in the corners, a dying memory of Caleb's power. Caleb leads the way, his back straight, his gaze fixed on the shadows ahead. He's already forgotten the goblins. They were just data. He glances back at her. Not with warmth, but with a cold, analytical eye. He's checking her condition. Not because he cares, but because a damaged asset is a liability. It's not personal, Yerno. It's just good management. Yerno catches his gaze and quickly looks away. She's learned her place in this new hierarchy. She's the apprentice to a man who treats life like a game, and she's realizing that in his game, there are no extra lives. No pressure or anything. A close-up of her face reveals the conflict. She's safe, but at what cost? She's following a man who makes the monsters look merciful. It's the classic out of the frying pan and into the fire scenario. Literally. Caleb's red eye glows faintly in the shadows. He's scanning the area, his mind a whirlwind of strategy and stats. Every echo, every draft of air is information. He's not walking through a dungeon, he's debugging it. One mob at a time. He stops to pick up a discarded goblin bow. He inspects it with a critic's eye. It's crude, but it'll do. He hands it to Urnil. In this world, if you don't carry a weapon, you just inventory. And Caleb has no room for dead weight. Urnil takes the bow, her fingers tracing the rough wood. A small smile flickers on her lips. For the first time, she doesn't feel like just a victim. She feels like she has a chance, even if that chance is provided by a sociopath. Beggars can't be choosers. Caleb smiles back. It's a dry, jagged expression. He's not proud. He's satisfied. He's upgrading his party members. A better equipped Urnil means a more efficient run. It's all about the efficiency. Efficiency is life. Efficiency is everything. He starts explaining the mechanics of the weapon. His voice is a low drone, devoid of emotion but filled with expertise. He's teaching her how to kill. Not for glory, but for survival. It's a grim lesson, but she's a quick study. She has to be. A close-up of her ear as she listens. Every word is a lifeline. She's absorbing his knowledge like a sponge. She knows that her life depends on her ability to follow his lead. The labyrinth is a strict teacher, and Caleb is its best student. She looks shocked at one of his instructions. Perhaps it's a bit too cold, a bit too ruthless. But she doesn't argue. She can't. She's committed now. She's part of his story, and his story is written in blood. Mostly other people's blood, fortunately. Caleb's face is a mask of determination. He's already thinking 3 steps ahead. The goblins were the tutorial. The real challenges are still ahead. And he knows that the most dangerous monsters in this place aren't the ones with green skin. They disappear into the darkness of the corridor. The only sound is the soft scuff of their boots against the stone. The labyrinth stretches out before them, an endless mouth waiting to swallow them. They walk on, unyielding. The tutorial is over. The real game is about to begin. The blue-tinted stone of the hallway reflects their figures as they move. They're a strange paramage in rags and an elf with a scavenged bow. But in this place, labels are irrelevant. Only utility matters. Caleb is calculating their next move when Urnil's posture suddenly shifts. The air just got a lot heavier. The silence is starting to feel like a threat. Urnil freezes, her hand pointing into the gloom. She's hearing things. Not voices, but vibrations. Footsteps. The sounds of someone who doesn't want to be heard. Caleb breaks a sweat. The lobby is filling up, and he's not ready for a team fight. Urnil, your eyes. Caleb's voice is low, his red gaze locked on her. He sees it now. The awakening. She's not just an elf with a bow. She's a living radar, in a place where shadows hide everything. She's the most valuable asset he has. Not a hero, just a very high-tier sensor. Urnil is confused, her mind struggling to catch up with her body. Meanwhile, Caleb is already back to work, crouching down to pick up whatever scraps the goblins left behind. Loot first, existential crisis later. A true gamer's priority. She looks at him, her face a mask of exhaustion and confusion. She's a slave who just discovered she can hear the heartbeat of the dungeon. It's a heavy gift. Caleb doesn't offer comfort. He only offers a direction. Forward. Her ears twitch, catching the subtle shifts in the air. Sound mapping. A cheat code in a world of silence. She's realizing that the labyrinth isn't just stone and monsters, it's a living thing. And right now, it's whispering that they're being followed. Great. More unwanted attention. No doubt about it. The words hang in the air like a death sentence. There are 4 of them. 4 shadows trailing their every move. They aren't goblins. They move with the heavy, rhythmic gait of humans. The most dangerous game just checked into the server. Caleb turns to her, his expression sharpening. He's not scared. He's calculating. He needs to know exactly what they're up against. Are they desperate? Are they predators? In this place, the difference is usually just a matter of how hungry they are. His eyes burn red, scanning the dark corridor behind them. Wisdom 10 is a powerful tool, but it doesn't give you eyes in the back of your head. He has to trust Urnil now. A dangerous necessity. A slave trusting a slave? That's how you get killed. Or how you survive. They move. Fast. Their footsteps are a frantic rhythm against the cold stone. They aren't running away. They're repositioning. Caleb knows that in the labyrinth, the first one to blink is the first one to die. And he hasn't blinked in years. Not since the last time he died, anyway. They splash through a puddle of stagnant water, the sound echoing far too loudly. Every noise is a beacon. Every ripple is a signature. They're leaving a trail, and the hunters are closing in. The tension is a physical weight, pressing against their chests. No respawn point in sight. Caleb slides into the shadows of a massive pillar, Urnil right behind him. She draws her bow, her fingers trembling. This is the moment. The transition from prey to predator. Caleb watches, his gaze cold and unyielding. The trap is set. All they need is the bait. A close-up of Caleb's eyes. He's not just waiting, he's analyzing. He can feel him coming. The air is thick with the scent of unwashed bodies and desperation. These aren't warriors. They're animals with human faces. And animals are unpredictable, especially when they're hungry. Urnil looks over at him, her blue eyes wide with terror. She's looking for a leader. She's looking for a sign that they're going to make it. Caleb doesn't look back. He's staring into the dark, his mind already 3 steps ahead of the kill. Empathy is a debuff he can't afford. Stop! Caleb's voice explodes through the hallway, a command that brook no argument. He steps out into the open, his wand raised. He's facing 4 shadows at the end of the corridor. The confrontation has begun. The tutorial is over. PvP is enabled. Good luck, everyone. He stands in front of Urnil, shielding her with his own body. Not out of love, but out of investment protection. He points his wand at the shadows, his red eyes glowing like embers in a fireplace. Who are you? The question is a threat. A promise of violence. A large, bald man steps into the light. He wears a slave collar just like them, but there's nothing submissive about him. We have no business with you, he says, his voice a low growl. He doesn't look at Caleb. He looks at Urnil. His eyes are dark, filled with a hunger that has nothing to do with food. Great. A creep. Just what this dungeon was missing. Then he smiles. It's a wide, jagged expression that reveals far too many teeth. It's the smile of a man who has lost his humanity and found something much worse in the dark. He wants the elf, and he doesn't think the mage can stop him. He's about to find out just how wrong he is. Welcome to the main event. Smash that like button for the upcoming beatdown. In the dark, mercy is a lie. Caleb and Urnil find themselves blocked, trapped by those who should be allies. We'll let you live, they say. It's the oldest lie in the book. Bald leader grins. It's the look of a man who thinks he's already won. He wants the elf. He wants survival. He doesn't care who he steps on to get it. Urnil trembles. The slave collar feels heavier now. Caleb stands beside her, his eyes cold. He's seen this game before. He knows how it ends for the weak. A mockery, bald leader, sees 2 weaklings, a mage with a twig and a frightened girl. He's counting his lucky stars. Poor guy doesn't know he's in a horror movie, surrounded. The air is thick with the smell of damp stone and betrayal. They offer safety in numbers. Caleb sees only a knife in his back while he sleeps. He politely declines. The laughter is sharp, cruel. They think his refusal is a joke, a final desperate act of pride before they break him. Urnil gasps. The threat is no longer hidden. It's right in front of her. Sharp steel and hungry eyes. She's never been this close to the end. Caleb's gaze shifts. His eyes glow a predatory red. The fear is gone, replaced by something far more dangerous. Calculation. He's finished talking. The mob closes in, shadowed faces, glowing eyes. They move like wolves sensing a kill. They've done this before. They think it'll be easy. They're wrong. Caleb raises his wands. 2 cheap, basic tools. To the mob, they are toys. To Caleb, they are the keys to the board. He's ready to make his move. Urnil looks at him. For a moment, her terror pauses. There's a shift in the air, a cold certainty radiating from the man she thought was just another slave. Bald leader sneers. You're joking, right? He can't fathom a threat from a man in rags. Hubris is a hell of a drug. It's about to wear off. Caleb doesn't blink. His world is narrowing down to stats and logic. He's not a victim anymore. He's the developer of their demise. Calm, ruthless. Ready. The mask of the bully cracks. For just a second, Bald Leader sees it, the abyss staring back. But it's too late to turn back now. He's already committed. Kill him. The order is barked out. The mob lunges. Violence erupts in the narrow hall, but Caleb is already ahead of them. He's playing a different game now. Then, the world freezes. A clock appears. Activating Horde Lass. It is now your turn. The rules have changed. Time belongs to Caleb now. 60 seconds. In this frozen reality, that's an eternity. Caleb watches his attackers, suspended in their own malice. He has 1 minute to end them. 59, 58. He stands in the middle of the chaos, untouchable. He looks down at the ground, at the environment. A pro gamer doesn't just hit buttons, he uses everything. Like a simple puddle of water. The strategy is simple. Physics 101. Water conducts electricity. A single lightning shock usually hits one target, but with a puddle, it's an AoE party, and everyone's invited. Lightning shock. Caleb casts the spell. He watches the bar fill. This isn't magic, it's a calculated strike. Efficiency is everything when you're on the clock. Blue light rips through the silence. The current races through the water, snaking up the legs of his enemies. They can't scream. They can't move. They just burn in silence. Shocking, isn't it? But he's not done. One spell isn't enough to finish the job. He switches to the other wand. Fireball. The heat begins to rise in his hand. He's building a combo. The flame ignites. He aims it low, not at their chests, but at the steaming puddle. He's creating a smokescreen. Blindness is the next debuff. He's checking all the boxes. The turn bar ticks down. One final move. Caleb isn't just fighting, he's orchestrating a chain reaction. The lightning is already in the water. The fireball is primed for the steam. Every detail is locked into place. No wasted motion. Just pure, cold efficiency. Caleb exhales. A quiet moment in a frozen world. He's finished his part. Now, he just needs to let reality catch up to his calculations. He watches the countdown, waiting for the trap to spring. It's time to end the turn. Ending turn. The 60 seconds of logic are over. The world begins to move again. For the mob, reality is about to crash down. They don't even see the trap until it's too late. Poor things. Chaos is about to become their new roommate. It starts at the feet. The puddle isn't just water anymore. It's a death trap. Caleb's lightning shock finds its conduit. Physics doesn't care about your feelings, and electricity has a very specific destination. High voltage agony. The current rips through their muscles, locking them in place. This isn't a fight. It's an execution disguised as a lesson. Screams are the only things they have left to give. Caleb watches with a cold, unblinking eye. No mercy. Only results. Weapons hit the ground. Shields, swords, pride all discarded in the spray of water. When the body fails, the mind follows. They are no longer a threat. Just targets. Gravity always wins the final argument. Caleb doesn't stop. The lightning was just the setup. Now comes the punchline. He launches a fireball into the electrified water. Fire and water don't get along, and Caleb is here to facilitate the divorce. It's about to get very humid. Steam. A massive, blinding explosion of hot vapor. The hallway vanishes in a white wall of heat. Caleb has turned the environment into a weapon. If you can't see the monster, you can't fight the monster. Basic game design, really. Go to Nan. Compusumpent. Bob Leader panics. He can't see his men. He can't see the elf. He can only feel the burning heat and his own failing courage. The hunter has become the blind mouse. Karma is a fast-moving vapor. The steam engulfs him. A hot, choking embrace. He tries to shield his eyes, but there's nowhere to hide. The trap is shut tight. The dungeon is a cruel place for those who underestimate their prey. He's sweating, and it isn't just the heat. The hallway is gone. Only the white void remains. Caleb and Yurnell stand at the edge of the carnage, ghosts in the machine. Caleb isn't just clearing a room. He's sending a message. The world is his playground, and the rules are whatever he says they are. Caleb shouts the order. His red eyes pierce through the fog. He's not looking with his sight, but with his strategy. He gives Yurnell the coordinate. The final phase of the turn is here. No more talking. only the sound of the bow. Yurnal's ear twitches, sound mapping, an elf's instinct refined by Caleb's cold direction. In this mist, she hears every ragged breath, every heartbeat of the dying mob. The fog is her cloak. The silence is her guide. Target locked. She draws the bowstring. The frightened girl is gone, replaced by a methodical hunter. 1 arrow, 3 hearts. In the white void, there is no escape. The string hums a low, final note for the men who thought they could own her. Precision beats power every single time. The mist swirls, thick and suffocating. It hides the bodies, it hides the blood. A shroud for the fallen, provided by the man they tried to betray. The dungeon is quiet now, save for the sound of steam hitting cold stone. A peaceful ending for such violent men. Caleb yells, his voice a sharp command. He's pushing her to the limit. Transformation isn't easy. It's painful. It's messy. He's forcing her to see the world for what it is, a kill or be killed reality. Welcome to the team, Yurnal. Hope you like red. Close-up of a predator. Caleb's eye is a window into a mind that doesn't know fear, only efficiency. He's not a hero. He's a survivor. And survivors don't leave enemies behind to heal. He's looking for the next move before the first one is even cold. Methodical. Ruthless. Cold. His grip on the wand is white-knuckled. Power doesn't come for free. It drains the soul. It burns the nerves. Caleb feels every bit of it, but he doesn't let go. He can't afford to. The game only ends when everyone else is dead. Stay focused. Keep the lead. Sweat beads on his forehead. Determination etched into every line of his face. He's tired. He's broken. But he's still standing. That's the difference between a player and an NPC. Caleb doesn't follow the script. He rewrites it in his own image. Every breath is a victory. Yurnal looks at him, eyes wide with shock. She's seen a side of him she didn't know existed. A side that makes the monsters in the dark look like pets. She calls out. A mix of fear and realization. The man who saved her is a monster of his own making. Good luck with the therapy later. He looks back. Red eyes meeting blue. The silence between them is heavy. There are no words needed for what they've done. The corpses in the fog are the only conversation left. He doesn't offer an apology. Survivors don't need them. Just a long, cold stare. It's done. The fog begins to clear, revealing the butcher's shop. 3 men lie broken on the cold floor. The steam is cooling. The fire is dying. The threat is gone. Caleb and Yurnal stand amidst the ruins of a betrayal that failed. They are alive. That is the only stat that matters. The arrow finds its home. Thud. A dull sound that means the end of a life. Precision over power. Caleb's strategy, Yurnal's execution. A perfect synergy of cruelty and skill. The dungeon takes another soul, and Caleb barely notices. He's already thinking about the loot. Straight through the heart. No waste. No hesitation. The arrow is a period at the end of a very violent sentence. 1 down, 2 to go. Caleb doesn't cheer, he doesn't smile, he just watches the health bars hit 0. Just another day at the office. Cold as ice. Yurnal is in shock. Her hands are shaking. The reality of what she's done is sinking in. She's a killer now. Part of the labyrinth. Caleb looks at her, indifferent to her pain. He's already moved on. Life is cheap here, and she needs to learn that fast. Get it together, elf. We have a game to clear. Blood on the stone. The messy remains of a traitor's ambition. Caleb watches the light fade from their eyes without a flicker of emotion. No drama. No grand speech. Just the cold silence of the labyrinth. In this world, weakness is the only true sin, and they just paid for it in full. Bald leader looks up, confused and broken. Did I faint? He wheezes. He's still trying to process the gap between his ego and the floor. He's looking for an answer in the shadows, unaware that the shadow staring back at him is his ending. No restarts. No second chances. Caleb looks down. No pity. No regret. Only the cold calculation of a survivor. The red glow in his eyes is fading, but the ice in his veins is permanent. 1 problem solved. Many more to go. Bald leader screams his final defiance. Rage, fear, and blood. A messy exit for a man who lived a messy life. He thought he was the shark in this tank. He was just a tutorial boss. They stand amidst the wreckage. Yarnell looks like she's seen the end of the world. Caleb just looks like he's waiting for the loot screen to pop up. The silence is the only thing left of the mob. It's a heavy quiet. Betrayal has a specific price. These men paid it in full. Caleb watches the light leave their eyes with a detached interest. He's not a murderer. He's just the one who followed the rules of the labyrinth. They didn't. The bald leader's mouth is full of blood and excuses. He wants someone to blame. The world, the labyrinth, his lack of talent. Anything to avoid the fact that he was simply outplayed. Death doesn't accept excuses. Only payment. He grits his teeth, his life leaking onto the cold stone. A final, bitter realization. He's dying in the dark, and nobody will remember his name. Not even the man who killed him. That's the real tragedy of the week. They are forgotten before they're even dead. Life's a damn mess. His final words. A summary of a life spent in the dirt. He talks about being kicked out of school, sold as a slave, forced to be a monster. He wants Caleb to understand. Caleb doesn't. He has his own mess to clean up. Caleb's eyes remain red, a reminder of the system that saved him. A system that doesn't care about backstories or tragic pasts. It only cares about the next turn. The conversation is over. The turn is truly finished. Yarnell is trembling. She's looking at the man she's following and seeing something else. A predator wearing a human face. She saved herself by siding with him, but she's starting to wonder if the price was her soul. Professional choice, honestly. Souls are overrated in dungeons. Oh, okay, she whispers. She's falling in line. Obedience is her only shield now. Caleb stands tall, the master of the hallway. The adrenaline is cooling, and the practical work begins. It's time to see what these corpses were carrying. Inventory management is the real end game. Shock hasn't left her yet. She stares at the bodies, then back at Caleb. She's waiting for him to say something. To justify the carnage. He won't. Success is its own justification. If they were alive, they'd be the ones looting him. That's the math. Caleb looks down. He's already mentally sorting through the gear. Weapons, gold, food, mundane items that become relics when you're starving in a pit. He's not thinking about the men anymore, just the resources they left behind. Real gamer move. He bends down to search the bodies. In the abyssal labyrinth, the dead are just chests that haven't been opened yet. He moves with a practiced efficiency. Every pocket, every pouch. Waste not, want not. Especially in hell. He remembers the moment of the kill. The hourglass. The cogs of fate. He realized then that his turn-based logic isn't just a gimmick. It's a god-tier cheat code. He can survive anything as long as he controls the clock. The world is a game, and he's the only one who read the patch notes. His eyes are steady now. The rage is gone, replaced by a cold focus. He's searching for anything that can keep them alive another day. A map, a key, a flask of water. The small things are what save you. The big things are just what get you killed, one body after another. It's a grim task, but Caleb does it without hesitation. He's becoming the person the labyrinth wants him to be. Hardened. Practical. Relentless. Yarnell watches from a distance, unable to help, unable to look away. Yarnell holds a backpack. It's heavy, worn, and clearly didn't belong to a slave. She found it on one of the men. It's high-quality gear. An adventurer's pack. A prize from a previous victim, now passed to new hands. The cycle of the dungeon continues. The pack hits the floor with a heavy thud. It's full. Caleb opens it up, his eyes scanning the contents. This is a big win. An adventurer's survival kit. Better than anything they've found so far. Now, let's see what's inside the mystery box. A handkerchief, a Bible, a frying pan, bread, a knife, rope, and a wallet. The mundane fragments of a life interrupted. To the dead adventurer, these were essentials. To Caleb, they are the difference between life and death. One man's tragedy is another man's inventory expansion. Dry, brutal, true. He finds an ID card. Abyssin. An F-rank adventurer. A face to the name. Abyssin didn't make it out. He was just another victim of the labyrinth's hunger. Now his legacy is a frying pan and some stale bread in Caleb's hands. Life is cheap. Gear is expensive. Ranking F, forgot to survive. Caleb and Yurnal look at the card together. A moment of silence for Abyssin. Not out of respect, but out of recognition. This is their fate if they fail. An ID card in a stranger's hand. Caleb tucks it away. A reminder to play better next time. No more F-rank mistakes. Caleb reflects on the men he just killed. They were desperate. They were cruel. But mostly they were just bad at this game. They chose the wrong target. They underestimated the power of a professional gamer. In the labyrinth, stupidity is the only capital crime. Case closed. The red eyes of the mob, he remembers them. They were like wild animals, driven by hunger and fear. They had no plan, no strategy. They were just reacting to the dark. Caleb is different. He's proactive. He's the architect of the darkness. And he's just getting started. The adrenaline fades, leaving behind the cold, sharp weight of reality. Killer. Looter. Survivor. Caleb doesn't feel guilt, only the hunger for progress. This is who he is now. Accept the metamorphosis or rot like Abyssin. The choice was never really a choice at all. Caleb grits his teeth, wiping the grime from his face. The hallway is clear, the loot is secured, and the path is open. The Abyssal Labyrinth has many more levels to clear, and he won't stop until the entire game is won, no matter how many Abyssins it takes. It's time to move. It's time to see where the system takes him next. The hourglass, the gear, the system. It's the only thing that makes sense in this chaotic hell. Caleb's turn-based logic is no longer a game mechanic. It's a law of nature. And nature is a very demanding boss. Time is on his side, for now. He grips the strap of his new gear. Abyssin's pack, a dead man's burden, now his own. It's heavy, but Caleb doesn't mind the weight. In the labyrinth, weight equals resources, and resources equal another day of breathing. Simple math. Yurnal looks at him, eyes wide with a new kind of terror. It's not the fear of the mob anymore. It's the fear of the man who saved her. She's starting to realize that being on Caleb's team means walking through blood. Hope she brought extra shoes. This is her life now. Caleb doesn't look back. His side profile is a mask of stone. The red in his eye is a lingering ember of the turn he just finished. He's already planning the next one. There is no room for sentiment when your life is measured in seconds and turns. Move forward, or stay behind and rot. They walk away, two small shadows entering the deeper dark. Caleb carries the loot, the shield, the pack, the future. Yurnal follows, her bow a silent companion. The hallway stretches out, endless and hungry. Carrying capacity, maximum. Tolerance for failure, 0. Let's see what the next floor has in store. Behind them, the silence returns. Bald leader and his men lie still, a grim monument to arrogance. They were the tutorial, a bloody introduction to the rules of the Abyssal Labyrinth. Caleb has cleared the encounter. The corpses stay behind. The survivor moves on. Chapter 3. Clear. Next level loading. Now, 12 hours of continuous hunting. The air in the maze is thick with the scent of goblins and sweat. Yurnal is at her limit. Breathing is a chore. Caleb, he just keeps moving. Quiet. Relentless. She looks at him like he's a god. Or a monster. Gratitude is a strange emotion to find in a dungeon. He saved her twice. In this world, that's more than luck. That's a debt. A campfire. A rare moment of warmth against the cold stone. They stop to rest. In a tutorial designed to break you, even a piece of bread feels like a luxury. The silence is heavy. Waiting for the next threat, she offers him her share, a small gesture of loyalty from a broken elf. Pathetic, really. But in a place where everyone wants to kill you, a pathetic ally is better than a dead one. Give the girl some credit for trying. He eats in silence. Red eyes watching the shadows. Every bite is fuel. Every second is a calculation. He isn't just resting, he's preparing. Analysis is the only weapon that doesn't run out of mana. Go to sleep, she says. She offers to guard, as if her small frame could stop anything coming out of that darkness. She's desperate to be useful. Desperate not to be left behind. It's almost cute. Almost. The memory of the bald man still haunts her. The terror of being prey. Caleb ended that threat with a cold efficiency that still makes her shiver. Fear is a great motivator for loyalty. She knows she needs him to survive. Tears in the dungeon, a waste of hydration. But for Urinal, it's the only way to process the fact that she's still alive. She trusts him. A dangerous mistake to make in a game like this. But for now, it serves his purpose. Caleb shuts his eyes. Sleep mode. Vulnerability turned into a strategic necessity. In this twisted reality, you don't grow while you fight. You grow while you're unconscious. A risky gamble. But Caleb knows the rules. The system chimes in the void. Level up. From 1 to 3. Power isn't earned through sweat here. It's a reward for surviving the day. While the world sleeps, the mage evolves. The tutorial is just getting started. He stands up. Different. Stronger. The slave collar is still there, a reminder of his current status, but the man inside is far from a slave. He feels the mana pulsing, the weight of his own potential. Ready for more. 2 stat points to distribute. In this game, there's only one choice for a man who wants to burn the world down. Intelligence. Everything else is secondary. He needs the brain power to handle the heat. Logic over luck. The darkness of the dungeon is endless. Caleb stares into it, unblinking. He isn't afraid of what's in there. He's the one they should be afraid of. A quiet predator in a room full of monsters. Calm. Ruthless. Ready. He touches the collar. Thinking. Planning. Every move he makes is a step toward freedom. Intelligence is his lever. And he's about to move the world. The red in his eyes isn't just for show. It's fire, waiting to be unleashed. The stats tick up. 12. Then 14. The threshold for breaking a goblin's defense. The math of survival is simple. Stay ahead or stay dead. He chooses to be the one holding the blade. Or the fireball. But he isn't the only one leveling. Urinal jumps to level 3 as well. A useful tool needs regular maintenance. If she's going to follow him, she needs to at least be able to keep up. Dead weight is just baggage. He checks her stats. It's a shock. She isn't just some weak elf. Her agility is naturally high. 10. That's elite level for a tutorial. Maybe she isn't as useless as she looks. A diamond in the rough? More like a dagger in the dark. A faint, cold smile. Caleb sees the potential. If he grooms her right, she becomes his perfect scout. His shield. His shadow. Survival just got a lot more interesting. The pieces are finally falling into place. Fate? No. Calculation. Then he sees it. Sound mapping. A rare, special skill. She can track enemies through walls just by listening. She's a living radar, and she doesn't even know it yet. A high-tier support trapped in a coward's body. Interesting. He invests her points into agility. If she can't fight, she should at least be able to run. Fast. A fast scout is a living scout. In Caleb's world, every asset must be optimized. No wasted potential. No wasted potential. No mercy for the slow. Time to wake up. The rest is over. The dungeon doesn't wait for anyone. Caleb sits up, feeling the surge of power. The air feels thinner, or maybe he's just getting stronger. Either way, the hunt continues. No time for comfort. Urinal is already on her feet, clutching her bow like a lifeline. She's nervous. Unsure. She doesn't feel the power Caleb just gave her. She still thinks she's a victim. She'll learn, one way or another. This world doesn't allow weakness. Clumsy as ever. She trips over her own feet, almost dropping her gear. An elf with the agility of a master but the coordination of a toddler. It's almost impressive how she manages to fail. Caleb sighs. Still a long way to go. He tests his new strength. A wooden shield. A wall. Fireball. The explosion is violent. The shield is pulverized. Results satisfactory. 12 intelligence hits different. Math is the only thing in this dungeon that doesn't lie. Nernal stares at the wreckage, jaw dropped. She doesn't understand the math behind the magic, only the destruction. But the target practice is over. Caleb is done playing around. It's time to stop running and start making the system respect him. Caleb finds a spot. No more running. No more hiding. Just the raw mathematical truth of power. He needs to know if the numbers in the system actually translate to survival. Logic doesn't lie. Stone does. Wands. Tools for a slave to become a god. or at least a very dangerous problem for anyone in his way. He adjusts his belt with the precision of a surgeon. In this place, a millisecond is the difference between a level up and a corpse. The fire in his eyes is matched by the heat at his fingertips, a low-level spell fueled by high-level intent. He doesn't just cast magic, he dictates it. The system is a lock, and he is the key. Fireball. Simple. Brutal. Effective. He doesn't hesitate. Hesitation is for those who expect mercy from a world that provides none. Behind him, Yahello huddles in her cloak, a spectator to the shift in balance. She's safe for now, but only because he allows it. Explosion. Pure, unadulterated damage. The sound of a slave taking back his agency. It's loud. It's messy. It's exactly what he needed. The dungeon shakes, acknowledging its new master. The silence that follows is even louder. Cold. Empty. His gaze doesn't change as the smoke clears. This wasn't a victory, it was a calibration. One stat point. One explosion. The math is working. The world is becoming his playground, even if the collar says otherwise. The shield is gone, splintered like a bad promise, one less obstacle in a world built of them. Power is the only language this place speaks fluently. And Caleb just became the best translator in the room. Math doesn't miss. Metal does. Yahello stares. She sees a slave, but for a second, she catches a glimpse of the predator underneath. It's a look of pure, unrefined shock. She's beginning to realize that the man she's following is more dangerous than anything they're running from. Good. Information is survival. She cowers in her cloak, overwhelmed by the raw output. Unbelievable. That's the word. She's living in a fantasy world, but Caleb is treating it like a spreadsheet. The mismatch is jarring. To her, it's magic. To him, it's just efficiency. Dry. Clinical. Cold. Cold. A brief rest. The fire is for warmth, but the light is for seeing the enemies. Caleb watches her sleep, huddling for warmth. Is she dead weight or a useful tool? The calculation continues even when the wands are holstered. He never stops playing the game. The logs turn to ash. Time is a resource he can't afford to waste. The fire dies. The hunger remains. In the tutorial, stagnation is death. If you aren't moving forward, you're already being digested. Caleb knows this. He feels it in his bones. Time to move. They move again. Two shadows in a graveyard of stone. The collar is heavy, but the path is clear. Yahello follows like a stray dog, grateful for the scraps of safety Caleb provides. She doesn't realize she's just an asset in his long-term strategy. Yet, a crossroad. Every choice in this place leads to a different kind of suffering. Caleb doesn't guess. He knows. The geometry of the dungeon is a map he's seen before. He isn't exploring. He's retracing his steps toward dominance. One hallway at a time. Sweat. Focus. The body is weak, but the mind is an iron cage. Caleb pushes through the exhaustion. In this world, weakness is a luxury he can't afford. He doesn't feel pain, he feels data. And the data says he needs to be faster, stronger, better. The red eye close-up, a sign of the system's touch. A mark of the mage who knows the ending before the story even begins. He's not just a participant in this tutorial, he's a glitch in the machine. A player who knows the cheat codes by heart. Dangerous. Precise. Unstoppable. An exit. A blue neon sign in a gray nightmare. But it's not free. It never is. 3 figures block the path. Veteran adventurers. This isn't a dungeon anymore. It's a negotiation. And Caleb is starting with a disadvantage. At least, that's what they think. Little do they know. Caleb stops. Wands ready. Yahello trembles behind him. A new group. New variables. New threats. They look at the slaves like they're dirt under their boots. Typical. They haven't realized that the dirt is about to bury them. The air is thick with tension. Standoff. Behold the welcoming committee. Zakal, a dwarf warrior with an orange beard and a horn helmet, looks ready to kill. Emma, a priestess in blue vestments and a wide hat, looks calm but clinical. And Virchinen, a beastman with lion-like features and scars, is clearly impatient. A balanced party. A classic obstacle. Typical mid-game boss energy. Urinal peeks from behind Caleb, her eyes wide with fear. Caleb doesn't flinch. He isn't looking for friends. He's looking for the fastest way through them. His mind is already calculating their levels, their gear, their vulnerabilities. He's a predator disguised as prey. And he's hungry. Very hungry. Emma looks surprised. Slaves shouldn't be here. Slaves shouldn't have wands. Zekel's brow furrows as he assesses the situation. They were expecting a threat, but they weren't expecting this. A variable they didn't account for. The silence is a physical weight. Uncomfortable. Heavy. Tense. A hand tightens on a weapon. The tension is a physical weight. One wrong move and the tutorial ends here. Permanently. The sound of leather groaning is the only noise in the corridor. A battle of wills before the first spell is even cast. Caleb is winning. Easily. He's been here before. Thousands of times. Zekal's eye narrow. He's looking for weakness. He's going to be disappointed. Caleb has already forgotten how to be weak. He's a veteran in a novice's skin. A king in rags. The dwarf warrior senses the shift in the air. He knows something is wrong. Very wrong. He just doesn't know what. Yet. Urinal panics. A sharp, terrified eek breaks the silence. She's a liability, but she's the only one he's got. Her fear is a distraction. A noise in a silent room. Caleb's eyes remain fixed on the adventurers. He doesn't have time for her drama. He has a door to open, and he's going to open it, one way or another. Caleb raises his wand. Don't. It's not a threat, it's a prediction. He's already seen how this ends if they move. Urnell huddles behind him, but the veterans are the ones who look cornered. The air is stagnant, heavy with the weight of a slave who refused to die. Level 99 energy and a level 3 body. Dry. Cold. Lethal. A wide shot of the inevitable. The exit sign flickers. A blue neon trap for the desperate, 5 bodies, 1 door, and a logic that doesn't care about their feelings. Caleb watches them realize their own helplessness. The standoff is over. The negotiation and the betrayal is just beginning. Zekel is the first to break. Zekel turns. Desperation is a funny thing. It smells like sweat and bad decisions. The dwarf leader's looking for a miracle. He found a slave with a wand. In this dungeon, that's close enough. Burtonin is losing it. Patience is for people who aren't trapped in a tomb. The beastman's snarl says more than his words ever could. He's tired of waiting. Tired of being afraid. He wants a way out, and he wants it now. Emma tries to be the voice of reason. A priestess without a plan is just a woman in a fancy hat. She sees Caleb as a resource. A tool to be used and then discarded. Her eyes are already calculating the cost of his life. Cold. Just like Caleb. The invitation is on the table. Join them. Not because they like him, but because they're dying. Better options. They really have none. Caleb listens, his back to the heroes. He's already 3 steps ahead of their offer. It's almost adorable how they think they're in charge. Caleb doesn't move. He doesn't even blink. Every word they say is a piece of data. Every nervous twitch from Zekel is a confirmation of their weakness. He's not a slave being offered a chance. He's a predator listening to a plea. The silence is his weapon, and he's using it perfectly. Zekal's pride is a heavy weight. Even a dwarf can't carry it forever in a place like this. He's the leader, but he's failing, and he knows it. The weight of his party's lives is crushing his spirit. It's a beautiful thing to watch. Power shifts are so much more interesting when they're quiet. Memories of Avacyn. Ripped apart by a black hornet. The dungeon doesn't care about your rank or your history. It only cares about results. They lost their mage and now they're desperate for a replacement. Any replacement. Even a slave with red eyes. Especially a slave with red eyes. Especially a slave with red eyes. Grief. Or maybe just the fear of being next. In this place, they're the same thing. Zekel looks down, the image of their dead comrade still fresh. It's a classic RPG tragedy. Too bad Caleb isn't here to play the hero. He's here to play the game. And the game requires a colder heart than Zekel's. Emma scolds him. Get it together. Time is running out and the boss doesn't wait for internal debates. She's the pragmatic one. The one who knows that a dead friend is just a looted corpse. She needs Caleb to say yes. Her survival depends on it. She's practically begging with her eyes. Pathetic. Vertinen is shouting now. Just decide already. Desperation is loud. Silence is expensive. Caleb stays still, letting the beastman's anger fill the corridor. The more they shout, the more they reveal how truly terrified they are. It's a masterclass in how to lose a negotiation before it even starts. Side-eye energy? Maximum. Caleb finally looks at them. Indifferent. He's seen this movie before. He knows the tropes. He knows the honorable party always has a secret agenda. They think they're offering him a lifeline. He knows he's the one holding the rope, and he's deciding whether to pull them up or let them hang. Hint, it's the latter. Emma gestures to her team. The best they have to offer. A broken dwarf and an angry cat. They're trying to sell him a dream. Join the pros. Get out alive. It's a sales pitch for a product that's already past its expiration date. Caleb isn't buying. He's just browsing. For now, the red eye sees through the lie. Caleb's mind is a supercomputer, and the logic is clear. He knows about the 4-person limit of the exit. He knows that if he joins, Urinal stays behind. Their offer is a death sentence for his only ally. They think he's stupid. That's their biggest mistake. One of many. Urinal is anxious. She peeks from the side, hope flickering in her eyes. She thinks this is their lucky break. She's too innocent for this nightmare. She doesn't see the traps. She doesn't hear the subtext. She just wants to be safe. Poor girl. Safety is a myth in this dungeon. Only power is real. A smirk. Ruthless. Caleb has them exactly where he wants them. He knows their secrets. He knows their fears. And he's about to turn them both against them. This isn't a team-up. This is a takeover. He's the one in control now, and he's going to enjoy every second of it. Smile for the camera, losers. Their faces change. Shock, confusion. They realize this slave isn't just listening. He's analyzing. Emma's hand goes to her mouth. Verchinen's eyes widen. Zikal's brow furrows deeper. They thought they were dealing with an NPC. They just realized they're in a room with a final boss, the power dynamic just inverted. Enjoy the whiplash. Zikal stares. He realizes the leash just changed hands. The humble slave is now the one setting the terms. It's a bitter pill for a dwarf leader to swallow. But in this dungeon, you swallow whatever you have to if you want to keep breathing. Caleb's indifference is a physical threat. Respect the player. Or die. Simple. Shh. Caleb isn't impressed. A small, dismissive smile. Their veteran status is a joke compared to his knowledge. They're playing checkers. He's playing chess. Actually, he's playing the game while they're still trying to figure out how to hold the controller. It's almost unfair. Almost. Dry humor, engaged. Emotional weight, heavy. Pacing, perfect. The venomic spider. The reason they're begging. A wall of silk, poison, and many, many eyes. It's the gatekeeper of their freedom, and they can't beat it alone. They need fire. They need a mage. They need Caleb. This is the monster that's making them so desperate. Fear has 8 legs and a lot of venom. Good luck with that. The veteran party looks ready for battle. Axes out. Spells prepped. They look brave. It's a nice costume. But underneath the steel and the faith, they're stuck. They know that without fire, they're just spider food. A party of 3 waiting to be wrapped in silk. Cinematic tension rising. Ruthlessness constant. Pacing steady. Move. Webs, a preview of their future if Caleb says no, or if he says yes on their terms. The imagery is clear, they're already trapped. Not by the spider, but by their own incompetence. The exit is right there, but it might as well be on another planet. Every second they spend talking is a second closer to being mummified. Fun. Fire. The only thing the spider fears. The only thing Caleb has that they need. A dark silhouette against the flames. Red eyes glowing. He isn't just a mage. He's an arsonist in a world of flammable dreams. He holds the match. They're the gasoline. One word and the whole thing goes up. Let's see them dance. Rowdal, I-duh, 853B 881. Wait, that's wrong. Logic, keep it cinematic. Moving on. Logic, that's cinematics. Moving on to the. He's already won. The smirk says it all. The negotiation was over before it even started. He has the fire. He has the knowledge, and most importantly, he has the lack of empathy required to leave them all behind if he has to. It's a beautiful position to be in. The king of slaves, the architect of ruin, Caleb, smirking. Always. The murking, always. Zickel and Virginin look determined. They think they've just secured their ticket out. They're already looking toward the gate, confident in their veteran status. It's almost sad. They think their experience is a shield. They have no idea that the betrayal is already calculated. It's not personal. It's just arithmetic. Zickel's eye. A final look of resolve. He thinks he's being a leader. He thinks he's making the tough call, but intent doesn't beat mathematics. Caleb knows the formula for survival and the secret limit of the exit. The scene ends on a quiet but dangerous promise. Math wins. Every single time. Zickel's party waits. They think the deal is sealed. The pros are already planning their next move. It's almost sad how much they trust the system. They think their rank and their gear mean something here. They're about to learn that in Caleb's world, only information is currency. And they're broke. Huh? The sound of a world collapsing. One sentence from Caleb and their confidence vanishes. He just told them the math they ignored. 4 slots, 5 people. The silence that follows is deafening. Emma's eyes widen. Virginin's jaw drops. The negotiation just became an execution. Dry humor side-eyeing their veteran status. Urinal's breath hitches. She's finally doing the math. 3 veterans, 1 mage, and 1 slave girl. She doesn't need to be a genius to know who the odd one out is. The realization is a physical blow. She looks at Caleb searching for a lie. She finds only cold, red truth. Rao Ustiide 60A437B. Moving on. Caleb doesn't look away. He doesn't offer comfort. He doesn't offer a lie. He just stands there, the system's red light reflecting in his eyes. He isn't a savior. He's a survivor. And survivors make hard choices. He's already decided his path. Empathy is a luxury he can't afford. Not today. Not ever. In the shadows, he looks less like a man and more like a ghost of the gamer he used to be. The tutorial has stripped away everything but the drive to win. He doesn't owe these people anything. Not the heroes who look down on him. Not even the girl who follows him. The world is cruel. Why should he be any different? Cold. Hard. Logic. The red eye close-up. It sees the variables. It sees the portal. It sees the sacrifice required. Caleb is no longer playing a game. He's writing the code for his own survival. Betrayal is just a word. To him, it's just a necessary subtraction. 1 life for 4. The math is undeniable. And Caleb loves math. Precise. Ruthless. Correct. Urinal is trembling now. Please. She's terrified of the silhouette standing before her. She sees the monster underneath the slave rags. She sees the man who could leave her behind without a second thought, and she realizes she has nowhere else to go. She's trapped between a spider and a predator. Helpless, broken, forgotten. Rowie State, 595 Seed 8. Next. They keep walking toward the portal, 2 shadows in a graveyard of stone. Caleb leads the way, wand in hand. He doesn't look back to see if she's following. He knows she has no choice. In this dungeon, the only thing scarier than the monsters is being alone. And Caleb is never alone. He has his logic, his power, his cold, quiet rage. Move. The portal. A vortex of blue energy. The light of freedom, or the end of the line. It hums with the power of the system waiting for its passengers. Only 4, no more, no less. The blue glow is beautiful and terrifying. Like the man standing in front of it. The stage is set for the final act of the tutorial. No turning back. Inevitable. Earned. Done. Caleb speaks. His voice is a whisper in the wind of the portal. A quiet but dangerous promise. I told you, I'm not here to play hero. He isn't talking to the adventurers. He's talking to himself, reminding himself of the cost of victory. The transformation is complete. The slave is gone. Only the mage remains. Ruthless, cold, calm, final. Rao Intine 6-1859. Almost there. Odd Vine 16-8959. Almost there. Urinal breaks. The tears fall, lost in the blue light of the portal. She's cowering, a broken elf girl realizing that her subscription to living is about to expire. She sees the truth in Caleb's eyes. She sees her own fate, and she can't do anything about it. Vertanen looks at the boy, an offer of salvation draped in condescension. He thinks he's the one holding all the cards. Poor guy. The deal is simple. Leave the girl and you live. A pragmatic trade in a world that eats the weak for breakfast. Vertanen isn't a villain. He's just a realist. One finger up. One life for another. To the dwarf, it's a generous bargain. In this dungeon, mercy is a luxury they can't afford. Urinal trembles. She's seen this play before. Abandonment is the only thing she expects. But Caleb isn't following the script. Panic is a cold weight in her chest. She waits for the betrayal. It's the logical choice. It's what anyone would do. But Caleb doesn't look like a victim. He looks like a shark that just scented blood. The red eyes aren't for show. They're a warning. Emma's hand tightens. She feels the shift in the air. The slave isn't trembling. He's calculating. That's much more dangerous. The elite party stands tall. Professional. Arrogant. They think they're rescuing a stray. They don't realize they're the ones being hunted. Caleb bites back a laugh. The humiliation of the collar, the stench of the dungeon, it's all just fuel now. Time to flip the table. He speaks. The silence shatters. He doesn't beg for his life. He dictates the terms of theirs. A slave. Giving orders. Bold move. The shock is visible. Their world just turned upside down. A level 1 rookie isn't supposed to have teeth this sharp. Urinal can't even process it. Caleb is actually fighting back. Not with a sword, but with words that cut deeper than steel. That smile. It's cold. It's predatory. Caleb isn't trapped in here with them. They're trapped in here with a pro player. Imagine being the boss of this dungeon and seeing this guy. Rip. Berchenton's eyes narrow. He sees it now. This isn't a lucky survivor. This is a strategist who knows exactly how desperate they are. The dwarf hesitates. The power dynamic just shifted 180 degrees. The savior is suddenly the supplicant. Hate to see it. Actually, no, I love to see it. 10,000 gold. Caleb drops the number like a guillotine. The price of their survival. Urinal is having a mini stroke in the background. Valid reaction. He knows their secret. He knows they're missing a mage. He knows they're bleeding money and time. Knowledge isn't just power, it's a high-interest loan. The inventory is empty. The potions are gone. They need a miracle, and Caleb is the only one selling. Price is non-negotiable. Mostly. The scales tilt. 2 lives against a mountain of gold. To the party, it's robbery. To Caleb, it's just business. Capitalism reaches even the deepest pits of hell. Infighting begins. The elite team is falling apart over a bill. Emma wants to pay. Vertanen wants to punch something. Classic RPG party drama. Emma looks horrified. The math isn't mathing for her. 10,000 gold for a slave? That's prime real estate money. She's rethinking her life choices. The beastman growls. He's not a fan of the new budget. But Caleb just watches. Let them argue. Time is his ally, not theirs. It's free real estate. The red eyes glow. He's enjoying this. The feeling of control after being a puppet. It's addictive. It's righteous. It's about to get very expensive. In the shadows, Avison remains frozen, a ticking clock they can't ignore. His life is the collateral Caleb is using to bleed them dry. Savage, but business is business. The deal is sealed. 9,500 gold for a chance at survival. Caleb's smirk says it all. The game is rigged, and he's the house. Now the real work begins. The deal is done, but the resentment lingers. Vertanen's crew is still doing the math on how a slave just bankrupted them. Caleb shoulders his pack. He isn't a slave anymore. He's the most expensive asset they've ever bought. Business is good. Emma takes it in stride. A professional smile for a professional's deal. The contract is finalized. Vertanen's eyes are narrow. He's looking for a flaw in the product. He's looking at a masterpiece. He sees something in the boy's eyes that isn't human. Caleb smirks. He knows their desperation. Urinal, meanwhile, is just trying to remember how to breathe. Anxiety is a hard habit to break. 9,500 gold. A king's ransom for a rookie mage. Virchinane's bank account is crying in dwarf. The walk to the boss room is heavy with silence. Desperation got them here. Now, they have to see if the investment pays off. Desperation is a hell of a drug. Emma finds the absurdity hilarious. Virchinen doesn't. Being broke isn't a personality trait, Virchinen. Humor is a great way to ignore a nightmare. The covenant begins. A magical contract in the name of Goddess Nathaniel. No backing out, no refunds, no escapes. Divine light seals the deal. A bloodless transaction in a place filled with blood. The gods love a good bargain. Emma completes the rite. Caleb looks down at the dwarf. The hierarchy has shifted. The boy with the red eyes is now the most important person in the room. And the dwarf knows it. Virchinen reaches for the door. Beyond this wood and iron lies the venomic spider. Death, or a massive return on investment. The handle is cold. The heavy doors groan open. They step into the abyss. No more talking. Only the sound of boots and the smell of rot. The dark is waiting. The venomic spider's den. A silver tomb of webs and silence. A trap waiting to be sprung. The air is stagnant. Caleb scans the room. He's not looking for monsters yet. He's looking for the mechanics. He's scanning the board for an opening. Red eyes activate. Information is the only currency that matters in a game where the rules are written in blood. System analysis, online. Explosive barrels. Neutral objects. The party sees trash. Caleb sees a tactical advantage. In a game, these are opportunities. In life, they're a lawsuit waiting to happen. They advance deeper into the web-choked hall. The air is thick with the scent of venom. Silence is a heavy cloak. Every step is a risk. A twitch in the webs. Something is watching. Caleb feels the shift in the turn. The room is waking up. He's ready for the change. Virchinen senses it too. His grip tightens on the axe. The hunt is on. The predator is about to become the prey. The dwarf is alert. It's here. The darkness moves. Fear is a useless emotion in a boss room. The spider has made its move. The world blurs. Trapped. The webs are thicker than they looked. The boss doesn't want to play fair. It wants a collection, not just a meal. The ceiling is alive. Virchinen looks up. The ceiling is a sea of silver webs. Gravity is about to become an enemy. The horror is descending on them. Steel meets silk. Virchinen swings. But the spider is a shadow in its own home. The first strike isn't a duel. It's a slaughter in the making. The dwarf roars, his axe a desperate blur against the dark ceiling. He's holding the line, but the predator still holds the high ground. For now, the predator waits. It thinks the ceiling is a sanctuary. It's about to find out it's a target. Caleb grits his teeth. The turn starts now. No more talk. Just results. The system intervenes. The hourglass of turn stalls reality. The world stops, but Caleb is just getting started. It's his world now. 4 action points. 4 fireballs. 1 very dead spider. The math is simple when you're the one writing the equations. A miracle in the dark. 4 fireballs, cast simultaneously without a single word. The elite party looks like they're having a collective existential crisis. Imagine being a pro and getting carried by a level 1 slave. Couldn't be me? Turnover. AP depleted. The world resumes, but the heat remains. The fire is out of his hands, but the damage is already done. Direct hit. The spider learns the hard way that fire burns. Burning webs fall like rain, turning the sanctuary into a cage. Explosion after explosion. Caleb isn't just attacking a monster, he's dismantling a boss encounter. The ceiling is no longer a safe haven. Absolute silence from the party. They paid for a mage, but they got a cheat code. This isn't how magic is supposed to work in their world. Awkward, Caleb shouts. The turn is over, but the battle is just starting. He's not interested in their amazement. He's interested in the kill. No time for awe. Urinal finds her courage. An arrow notched. A debt of life to be paid. The elf lets the first arrow fly with newfound resolve. The room is a furnace. Fire and steel meet the spider's carapace. The predator is losing ground, 1 hit at a time. Magical impacts rattle the pillars. They're finally fighting like a team. Even if Caleb is the one holding the leash, the boss room is a slaughterhouse now. Urinal lets out a yes. Relief is a dangerous thing in a dungeon. Caleb knows better. The fight isn't over until the loot drops. Stay focused. A massive pillar of flame erupts. The dungeon is beautiful when it burns. Overkill? Maybe. Effective? Definitely. Everyone is feeling the heat. Caleb is already looking for the next phase. Emma can't even process the previous one. The difference between a master and an amateur is where they're looking. The beastman is visibly tilted. Being outshone by a slave is a special kind of insult. He's gritting his teeth, trying to reclaim some dignity. Rough day for the ego. A precise magical strike. The final blow of the opening move. The floor groans under the weight of the magic. Direct hit. The spider's eyes burn. It's entering the next phase. Bosses never go down that easy. The air gets colder, even with the fire. Get ready. The beastman leaps. Primal rage meets chitin. He has a point to prove and a monster to kill. A blur of fur and steel in the dark. Claws and steel meet their mark. He strikes with everything he has, desperate to prove his worth. A frantic struggle in the dark. The slash connects. Green blood sprays the cold stone. A successful hit, but the monster is far from dead. The beastman isn't backing down. The spider shrieks. A sound of pure, unadulterated pain. It's a sound that would break a lesser man. Caleb just watches. Emotion is a luxury he doesn't have. The spider's abdomen pulses with a sick, toxic light. A final, desperate move. The venomic part of its name is finally about to matter. Brace for the end. Verdun grits his teeth, bracing for the impact of a monster's spite. He's the front line, but he knows he can't tank this alone. He needs a miracle, or at least a very good cleric. Emma deploys a shield, a golden barrier against the inevitable. It's cute, but shields don't win dungeons. Tactics do. Caleb's hand is steady. He doesn't need a shield, he needs a solution. He raises his wand, and the air begins to freeze. Ice lance, a frozen spike erupting from nothing. Precision is the only thing that matters when your life is the collateral. Caleb doesn't miss. Impact. The spider's venom sac is frozen solid before it can detonate. Talk about a cold reception. The boss's trump card just became a paperweight. The beast is pinned. A gargantuan nightmare silenced by a rookie mage. The elite hunters are just spectators in their own raid now. Awkward. Disbelief. Emma and Virchinin can't even process what they're seeing. Years of training and they're being schooled by a slave. Their pride is bleeding. Caleb isn't interested in their shock. He looks at Virchinin, he doesn't ask, he commands. The social contract is dead. He's the captain now. Finish it. 2 words that carry the weight of a decree. Caleb isn't a participant. He's the director of this slaughter. Move, dwarf. Virginton charges. The dwarf finally remembers how to be a warrior. Or maybe he's just more afraid of the kid than the monster. Valid. Great shattering cleave. Gravity and steel descending on a frozen nightmare. A heavy blow for a heavy price. Time to collect. The strike connects. Chitin cracks like glass. The venomic spider is being dismantled by pure blunt force. Gravity is a hell of a weapon. Explosion of gore and ice. The boss falls. The party stands in the wreckage of their own incompetence, saved by a man they looked down on. Rough. The axe is stained purple. A badge of honor or a warning. The monster is dead, but the smell of rot lingers in the air. It's too quiet. Virginin raises his weapon. Victory. At least, that's what he wants to believe. He knows he didn't win this fight. Caleb did. The room stays dark. Red eyes narrow. The system hasn't sent the victory notification yet. Caleb knows the rules of the game. He knows that death isn't always the end. Phase 2. A very low chance. But in Caleb's world, low means inevitable. The real nightmare is just waking up above them. First floor boss falls. The professional hunters relax. Only Caleb remains alert. He doesn't lower his wand. Something is wrong. Urinal watches him confused. She doesn't see it yet. She thinks it's over. It isn't. A single eye opens in the dark. The real hunt begins. Verton and Emma look up. The relief vanishes instantly. Tension returns. The Beastman warrior snarls as the shadows move. The ceiling is alive. Thousands of eggs. A nightmare waiting to hatch. Second phase. A mechanic these locals don't understand. Emma's face says it all. Caleb takes command. No hesitation. He needs firepower. Urinal rolls the orc ale. High alcohol content. Perfect fuel for an explosion. Verton 10 positions the barrel. The dwarf knows a trap when he sees one. Emma watches the slave. He isn't acting like a sacrifice anymore. The plan is set. Coordinate or die. Caleb readies his mana. Urnil draws a light arrow to mark the target. The bolt streaks through the air, a guiding light in the dark. It strikes true. The egg cluster is exposed. The barrel is launched. High stakes. One shot. It flies toward the center. Physics and magic about to collide. Time slows down. The hourglass turns. Caleb enters his domain. Silent casting. No chance. Just pure destructive intent. Fire meets alcohol. The world turns white. A total wipe. The nightmare is incinerated before it could even crawl. The veterans stand in silence. This shouldn't have been possible for a slave. Hardcore logic turns a death trap into a simple tutorial. This level of efficiency is unsettling. Virginin stares at the boy, the truth finally sinking in. Caleb isn't just a slave, he's something far more dangerous. Caleb's red eyes. Calm, calculating. He knows the game has just changed. The exit gate opens. A portal to safety. Or just another lie meant to lure them deeper. The dungeon falls silent. The adrenaline fades into a cold, heavy reality. The beastman warrior stares. The hostility hasn't left his face. He's waiting for a reason to snap. Then he laughs. A loud, jarring sound that echoes through the dungeon. It's not out of joy. Caleb ignores the noise. He knows the professionals didn't hire him for his survival. They hired him for his death. Vertinen looks shaken. He expected these slaves to be corpses by the first-floor boss. He was wrong. A memory of a past life. A trash game on a screen. Ironic. Now every decision has blood attached. No respawns in this lobby. The dwarf rubs his beard. Guilt is an expensive emotion in a place like this. He can't afford it. He looks at the two survivors. They weren't part of the budget now. The math doesn't add up. Caleb's smile is razor-sharp. Urnil bristles beside him, sensing the shift in the air. The trap is about to spring. Virginin's face hardens. It's time to reveal the true terms of the trade. Business is business. Two sides of a bargain that was never meant to be fulfilled. The gap between slave and hunter is widening. Caleb lays it out. They were supposed to die so Vertinen could keep the gold. Their contract was a death sentence. Emma sweats under the weight of the truth. She was a silent partner in this bet. She's not a saint. Urnil's eyes go wide. The betrayal stings more than any monster's venom. She was just collateral damage. Safety is right there. A blue glow, mocking their helplessness. So close, yet out of reach. Emma speaks up. The logic of the dungeon is simple. Freedom isn't free. It's paid in blood and broken trust. The elf girl trembles. She's staring into the abyss of her own worthlessness, a tool that refused to break. The shock paralyzes her. Her world just collapsed, and Caleb is the only one left standing. Caleb doesn't comfort her. Emotions are a luxury he can't afford. He has a bigger game to play. He keeps the pace. Tears won't buy their way out of this contract. Only results will. Vertinen and the Beastmen watch. They're curious to see how a broken thing tries to fix itself. It's almost cute. The Beastman mocks their misery. To a veteran hunter, a slave's despair is just a welcome break from the slaughter. Caleb ignores the laughter. He's about to show them that even a slave can hold the leash if he knows where to pull. The party is stunned. They didn't see this coming. The slave just revealed his trump card. Caleb presents Avicen's backpack. A dead man's gear. To Caleb, it isn't a memento, it's leverage. Virgin can't believe his eyes. Their fallen comrades' belongings are being used as a bargaining chip by a prisoner. The hunters are speechless. This slave operates on a level of cold pragmatism that makes even veterans shiver. Vernon is caught in a tactical pincer. He wants that bag, and Caleb knows exactly how much he's willing to pay for it. A cold, confident smile. Caleb doesn't care about the dead. He only cares about the utility they leave behind. The dwarf leader is frozen. He's being outmaneuvered by property. It's a humiliating realization. A scavenger's heart. He strips the dead of their usefulness. It's the most honest act in this entire dungeon. Caleb makes his move. One bag for their entire food supply. A fair trade in a death trap where calories are currency. He doesn't wait for permission. He creates necessity. The gamer logic is flawless, even if it's heartless. Avicen. A memory of a girl who didn't survive the crawl. To the party, she's a tragedy. To Caleb, she's an inventory expansion. No remorse. Just calculation. The red eyes see the world as data points and loot drops. The negotiation is over. Caleb has won. But a new variable is about to shift the board in a way he didn't predict. Urinal stands in the shadows. The weight of their situation is finally crushing her spirit. A hand rises, a small trembling gesture in a place filled with monsters. She wants to be heard. She speaks up. For the first time, she isn't asking for help. She's offering a sacrifice. Her eyes are hidden behind her hair. She can't look at them. She can only look at the cost of her own resolve. The professionals are stunned. They expected greed or fear, but not this level of selflessness from a slave. Caleb is blindsided. For all his tactical genius, he didn't account for someone acting against their own survival. The silence is heavy. Yurnil stands before them, ready to trade her life to buy Caleb's freedom. She's begging them, not for mercy for herself, but for a future for the man who saved her from the dark. Emma's mask slips. Even a cynical cleric can be moved by pure, unfiltered desperation. It's pathetic. It's beautiful. Yurnil is alone in her decision. A slave with nothing left to lose but the chains of her companion. Her hands grip the bow until the knuckles turn white. It's the only anchor she has left against the crushing weight of her choice. Her plea is a final sacrifice. She is ready to stay behind in the dark, where the ghosts of her past are already waiting. A flash of a darker past. Goblins. A laughing tormentor. Yurnil knows the cold arithmetic of survival. Alone, she's already a ghost haunting these halls. Caleb's internal logic stalls. He prepared for betrayal and monsters, but he never planned for the weight of another person's heart. For the first time, the gamer has no response. Yurnil looks up, her face a map of tears and raw desperation. She's trading her existence for his, begging him to live the life she no longer believes she can have. A final, beautiful sacrifice in a world that only knows how to take. Vertanen stares, sweat beading on his brow. He just saw a slave outclass a veteran party. Shock, respect, disbelief. It's all there. The air in the dungeon is heavy with silence. Vertanen finally speaks, breaking the tension with an offer that shouldn't exist. He's breaking protocol for talent. The dwarf rubs his head, flustered. He's putting it all on the table, 9,500 gold and a 25% cut of the profits. A king's ransom for a sinner. Vertanen gestures to the exit. It's an easy choice. Leave the weak behind. Take the gold and walk out a free man. A ticket out of hell. Caleb doesn't flinch. He stands there, cold and unmoving, while Yurnil trembles in the shadows. He's not looking at the gold. He's looking at the system. His red eyes scan the unseen. The logic is moving faster than their words. He's not weighing gold, he's weighing survival. And survival isn't free. Yurnil reaches out, her hand trembling as she grabs his arm. She's pleading, telling him to leave her. To save himself while he still can. A desperate grip. She's ready to be abandoned. In this world, the weak are always left behind. It's the only law that matters. Then, the system chimes. Hourglass expansion opportunity. Yurnil cries, her face a mask of grief and sudden, impossible hope. Trust level, 100%. The notification is cold. Stay by her side and she becomes more than a slave. She becomes a tool he can command with absolute precision. High risk. Infinite reward. Caleb's expression doesn't change, but his path is set. He's not a hero. He's a strategist, and a loyal pawn is worth more than a pile of gold. The hourglass pulses. The world is built on turns, and Caleb just bought his next one. The deal is sealed in the dark. Yurnil is a mess of tears. Why aren't you going? She sobs. She doesn't realize she just became the most valuable asset in the dungeon. Caleb points a finger, his voice steady. He explains it like a math problem. He's not being kind, he's being efficient. Kindness is for the dead. He knows her stats, dexterity, 2, higher than his. He doesn't need a partner. He needs someone who can follow orders without hesitation. She's perfect. The dwarf party was a distraction. They had their own wills, their own fears. But Yurnil, she will act the moment his turn ends. Total synchronization. A faint smirk pulls at his lips. The butterfly effect. One small choice here will tear this dungeon apart later. He's counting on it. Vertanen and Zakal watch, confused and frustrated. They don't understand. To them, Caleb is a fool. To Caleb, they are already obsolete. Activating the hourglass. It's your turn. The blue gears of fate begin to grind. Time is now a resource Caleb owns. Exclusive access. He closes his eyes. The noise of the dungeon fades. There is only the interface, the numbers, and the cold logic of the next move. Focus. Process. Execute. Urnil draws her bow, her gaze sharpening. Under his command, the fear is gone. She is no longer a victim. She is a variable in his winning equation. Emma settles the tab for the spider carcass. 1,500 gold. Business is finished. The professionals take their leave, leaving the trash behind. Their mistake. Ending your turn. The clock ticks back to life. The pause is over. The real hunt begins now. No more witnesses. No more dead weight. Caleb's eyes flare with a lethal crimson light. The calculation is finished. The next floor isn't a struggle for survival. It's an optimization trial he refuses to lose. He reaches out and locks his hand around her wrist, anchoring them both to the darkness. The exit is closing. The gold is gone. The real gamble starts now. Caleb makes his choice. He's not leaving. He grabs Urnil's hand, grounding her. We're staying. The decision is final. No turning back. Urnil can't believe it. The tears won't stop. For once in this hellish dungeon, someone didn't throw her away like trash. A slave, finally chosen over freedom. The professionals are stunned. Why choose a slave over wealth, safety, and a spot in a top-tier party? They've never seen logic like this. It's either noble or insane. Mostly insane. Caleb's gaze remains cold. Red eyes staring through the world's fabric. He's not being a hero. He's being a player. In a game of survival, trust is a high-level currency. A single eye, calculating the odds. The trust level is at 100%. He owns the board now. Every move from here on out is under his absolute control. Checkmate before the next turn even starts. Urnil is overwhelmed. She's been nothing but a burden, yet he sacrificed everything to stay. The weight of his mercy is crushing. She doesn't realize it's just cold math. Caleb sighs. He's already plenty stressed. He doesn't need her gratitude. He needs her to be quiet. Emotions are just noise in his calculation. Silence is gold, literal gold. Zakal turns toward the portal. It's time to move on. Professional respect is all that's left between them. The beast man knows talent when he sees it, even in a slave. Then, Zekel breaks down into ugly, comical tears. He's moved by Caleb's noble sacrifice, a simple beast with a simple heart. He's the type to cry at a budget wedding. Emma watches them go. She's impressed. The Magic Academy found something rare this time, a genius who isn't entirely heartless. Or at least, one who knows how to fake it well. She speaks with the calm of a banker. Business isn't over just because the fight is. There's still value to extract from this damp, blood-stained pit. Transactional faith is the best kind. Vertanen grumbles. He hates being turned down, especially by a rookie. But he recognizes a man of conviction when he sees one. A stubborn man is a surviving man. The spider carcass sits there, a trophy turned into currency. 1,500 gold. No lower. A fair price for a monster's remains. Even in the dungeon, capitalism never sleeps. Vertanen asks for her name. Urnil, the slave, is finally seen as a person. At least by him. It's a small victory. But in this place, small victories are the only ones you get. She reacts with a startled shout. The sudden attention is terrifying. She's forgotten what it's like to have an identity that isn't just a number on a ledger. Panic is her default. A wink and a thumbs up. A parting gesture from a leader who knows they'll meet again. If Caleb lives. That if is doing a lot of heavy lifting. A heavy boot hits the floor. The veterans are leaving. The safety of a party is walking out the door, leaving them with nothing but the dark. The silence returns. Vertanen hands over a few healing potions, a gift for the long road ahead. Even a ruthless leader has a soft spot for survivors. Or maybe he just likes the irony. They look back one last time. A promise of a drink in town, a debt of gratitude that Caleb hasn't even begun to collect. Assuming there's a town left to return to, Emma smiles a cold, practiced look. She's not just leaving, she's leaving them with a parting gift. Something to keep the rot away for a few more hours. Faith is a buff. Her hands move in a sacred pattern, the blessing of Nathaniel, magic born of ritual and prophet. The light is blinding, but the effect is undeniable. Divine intervention for a fee. Golden light erupts around them, +1 to all stats. A temporary shield against the dungeon's curse. It's not much, but for Caleb, it's exactly what he needs to break the next floor. The portal looms, bright and cold. The veterans stand at the threshold, their work here done. Caleb and Urnil are now truly alone. No more safety nets. Just them. Ezekiel's shouting fades into the roar of the portal. Emma offers a final smile, the kind you give a man already in his grave. Then, the veterans are gone, swallowed by the cold light of the exit. Urchandon leaves him with one last tool, a grade E mana stone. A shortcut for the desperate. The pros are gone, leaving behind nothing but a world of silence and the grind of the next turn. An E-rank mana stone. A simple tool to trick the dungeon. One stone counts as one person. The etiquette of cowards and speedrunners. It buys you a shortcut to the next gate. The stone rolls toward the shimmering gate, a small sacrifice of mana to cheat the clock. Time is the only resource Caleb can't recover easily. The gate screams red. Berchanin stands at the threshold, watching the exit open. He's leaving. Caleb is staying. The divide between the professionals and the desperate is finally crossed. The dwarf's gaze is heavy. He knows the weight of the gamble Caleb just took. In this dungeon, conviction is often just another word for a death wish. Silence returns to the hall. The light of the veterans is gone. They are truly alone now. Two slaves left in the dark to rot or rise. The odds aren't in their favor. Urnil remains on the floor, head bowed. The reality of her survival is still sinking in. She's alive, but at what cost? In her mind, she's still a burden. Caleb looks down at her. Hope is a luxury he can't afford. But utility? Utility is mandatory. If she can't stand, she's dead weight. And he doesn't do dead weight. A cold realization. His body remembers the grind, even if this world doesn't. The muscle memory of 100 games is his only real weapon here. He's built for this. This body has been steeped in this game for so long. Caleb's mind is still a gamer's mind. Efficient. Ruthless. He doesn't see a dungeon. He sees a sequence of turns he needs to win. He reaches out, not to comfort, but to mobilize. She needs to move. There's no time for a breakdown when there's loot to harvest. Emotion is a waste of a turn. So first, let's rip out that spider fang. The boss is dead, but its value remains. Every piece of chitin and poison is a tool for the next fight. Waste nothing. Harvest everything. The blade bites into the chitin. Precision work in a graveyard of monsters. A sharp fang, still wet with venom. This is the first step toward their own survival. A weapon from the dead. It could be a shield or a spear. For Caleb, everything is just material for the next turn. The spider died so they could live. A fair trade. He tells her to trust him. Urnil hesitates, leaning over the massive corpse. She doesn't see the numbers he sees. She just sees a nightmare she's forced to touch. He watches her work, arms crossed, evaluating her every movement like a patch note. He's checking her frame data in real time. Efficient, if a bit creepy. Dexterity, the stat of thieves and craftsmen. Caleb has none. He's all brain, no hands, a typical glass cannon build. Very relatable. 0 versus 2. The numbers don't lie. She's the better choice for the delicate harvesting. He's the commander, she's the execution. A perfect synergy of stats. Caleb stands in the dim light, red eyes glowing. He's not just a master, he's an architect. He's building a weapon out of a girl who thought she was already dead. Urnil's trust has reached 100%. The system rewards loyalty with absolute control. He can issue commands now. He can bend her will to his turn. Absolute synchronization achieved. He recalls her fire, her raw potential. She's more than a slave. She's a variable he can finally solve. He just needs to point the weapon in the right direction. The potential he sees in her is a whirlwind, a force of nature waiting for a commander. He just has to be the one to direct the storm, one turn at a time. The system tells him now, only after he risked his life for her. Typical game design explaining the mechanics only after you've almost died. Very helpful. Thanks, system. Urnil holds her prizes high, a genuine smile breaking through. A moment of joy in a pit of despair. She found a purpose beyond just dying. She found a use. She gathers the spoils. Every fang is a second of life bought. They pack their future into a simple bag, trading their trauma for raw materials. I didn't know I had this kind of talent, she shouts, running back to him. She's finally shedding the weight of her helplessness, becoming the tool Caleb knew she could be. Yahello holds her prize high, 2 fangs, still dripping with toxic life. She found a talent in the middle of a slaughterhouse, and for a fleeting second, the slave collar feels a little lighter. In this dungeon, usefulness is the only thing that keeps you alive. Caleb and Yahello stand in the blue-lit silence of the dungeon. No words, just the heavy weight of survival and the next move. Yahello's fingers move with surprising grace. She attaches the poison fang to the arrow, refining their meager arsenal for the kill. Surprise flickers in Yahello's eyes as she holds the modified weapon. She didn't expect to succeed, yet it feels dangerously right. Caleb watches her with cold, calculating eyes. Talent hidden behind a slave's collar is still talent worth exploiting. Poison arrow. A simple combination, but in this world, simplicity is the most efficient way to kill. Yahello looks at the tool of death she just crafted. A small spark of pride in a place that usually only offers despair. Caleb turns away, his mind already drifting to the next turn. Conversation is a luxury they simply can't afford right now. A flicker of doubt crosses Caleb's face. Even a pro gamer can be surprised by how different reality feels from the system's stats. Caleb tests his command. A word spoken, a puppet moved. The hourglass doesn't just turn time, it turns wills to his favor. The poison arrow gleams under the dim light. Lethal, efficient. Exactly how Caleb likes his tools. Low physical damage, but the poison damage is where the real work happens. A suffocating, lingering death for anything that inhales. The dungeon room stretches out, empty and ominous. Every deep shadow is just a potential ambush waiting to trigger. They walk deeper into the blue-lit corridors. 2 shadows bound by chains and a desperate need to find the exit, activating the hourglass. 60 seconds to decide their fate. Caleb's turn begins now and the world stands still. Caleb glances back at Yahello. She's his most valuable asset, and in this game, you have to maintain your assets. His eyes sharpen with predatory focus. He's no longer just a player, he's becoming the master of every turn. Yahello offers water, a small kindness in a cruel place. Caleb accepts it silently, his thirst as dry as his resolve. A faint, ruthless smile tugs at Caleb's lips. The game mechanics are working exactly as he calculated. 0 AP wasted. Movement in the dark. The monsters are finally here. Caleb senses the threat before they even draw breath. Flames erupt in the narrow hall as Caleb strikes first. He's forcing the dungeon to play by his rules, 1 turn at a time. Yahello draws her bow, her gaze steadying despite the fear. Her hands are firm now, guided by his command. The arrow finds its mark, piercing the goblin's leg with surgical precision. The poison begins its work instantly. Dry performance. The creature screams, a harsh sound that echoes through the dungeon. It's the sound of a turn ending in pain and blood. Caleb remains still, watching the goblins end with clinical indifference. The board is already set. There is no need for wasted effort. Yahello, why did you shoot its leg and not its head? His voice is a cold blade demanding perfection in a world where inefficiency is a death sentence. Yahello bows her head. Her mistake weighs on her, but Caleb has no room for sentiment. Every error is a cost he can't afford. Caleb stares into the void of the turn. He's searching for the cracks in this world's logic. He's finding them. Extreme focus. Cold calculation. In this labyrinth, empathy is a death sentence. Calculation is survival. The turn ends. Yahello stands frozen, a question mark on her face. She's a pawn who doesn't even realize she's on a game board. Caleb speaks. His voice is a command even when it's a whisper. He's testing the limits of his new authority. The command takes hold. A strange, involuntary movement of the feet. The system doesn't care about dignity. Yahello dances. A burst of forced joy in a cold stone tomb. It's an absurd test, but Caleb needs to know his reach. Reality snaps back. She freezes, the sheer humiliation of the moment hitting her like a physical blow. Caleb just watches. Caleb's gaze never softens. He sees the strings attached to every soul here, and he's the one pulling them. She bows again, her shame absolute. Caleb turns his back. They have no time for embarrassment. They have ground to cover. Deeper into the blue silence. The walk is a constant reminder of their isolation. Every step is a calculated risk. Caleb stops. He has a question that only his survivor can answer. He needs to know what kind of man he inherited. His red eyes flare. The truth is coming. Whether he's ready for the weight of it or not, the hourglass glows. Tell me everything, Caleb demands. He needs to know the monster he's inhabiting. He drinks. The water is cool. The atmosphere between them is freezing. Urnal's eyes go wide. He chokes. The truth is a jagged, bitter pill. He's not just a prisoner. He's a murderer. He wipes the spray from his chin, reeling. A murderer of teammates. His hands feel significantly heavier now. He tries to laugh it off, but his eyes remain hollow. The world just got a lot more dangerous. The world hates him. Urnal watches him, sensing the shift in his spirit. She's the only one who doesn't see a monster when she looks at him. The memory of the Foxkin woman. A life he supposedly ended. A past Caleb doesn't remember but must now carry. Urnal clenches her fist, her resolve hard as iron. She believes in him, even if the rest of the world wants him dead. They move on. The hallway is long, but his past is longer. The dead weight of his crimes follows them like a shadow. Everyone is just a piece on the board. A king, a knight, a pawn. Caleb is the player and the stakes are life or death. Urnal stares, searching for a sign of the man she knew. She only finds the strategist, the survivor, walking. Each step is a grim promise. They are nearing the exit and the real nightmare is only beginning. The EXIT sign glows with the false promise of safety. In this labyrinth, the end of one corridor is just the start of another nightmare. Urnal stops in her tracks. She's found something that doesn't belong in the silence of the Blue Hall. Avison. A noble adventurer, his body preserved by expensive magic, looking as if he's merely dreaming. But there are no dreams left in this place. The soul preservation magic keeps him fresh, a cold, static trophy of a failed escape. Caleb and Urnal stare at the fallen noble. Even wealth can't buy a way out of the dungeon's hunger. Caleb's red eyes scan the scene. He's not looking at the face. He's looking for the cause of death. He always looks for the mechanics. A missing leg. Ragged. Bloody. The magic only preserved the body, not the parts the labyrinth decided to keep. Do you hear that? Caleb asks. The sound of wings beating. Faint, rhythmic, and utterly lethal. The red eyes narrow. Caleb has identified the sound. He's already calculating the threat level. It's high. A black hornet larva. Small, squirming, and parasitic. It doesn't hunt. It waits for the prey to come to its nursery. The EXIT is right there, taunting them. But the hallway is no longer empty. It's occupied by the stench of rot and growing monsters. An egg cracks open. Life in the dungeon is always paid for with a previous death. This larva has been well fed. Caleb and Urnal look at the newly hatched horror. It's a message from the labyrinth. You are not the predators here. Caleb's mind is racing. He's connecting the dots. The preserved body, the missing leg, the larva. The pattern is forming, a nursery for parasites. The labyrinth isn't just a prison, it's an incubator for something much worse than insects. Realization hits Caleb like a physical blow. The predator isn't the hornet is just the cleaning crew. Run, Urnal! Caleb's voice loses its calm. He's seen the shadow moving where there should be no light. Mr. Back Attack. A rogue. The one class a mage should never face in a lightless, narrow room. The ultimate counter. Tension coils in Caleb's chest. This isn't a fair fight, it's an execution by a soul that the dungeon has already claimed. Worst matchup for a mage. A dry, ironical observation. Caleb's only weapon is a turn-based hourglass in a world of real-time speed. Urnal looks at him, sensing the shift in the air. Her protector is sweating. The silence is finally breaking. Her eyes search his for a plan. She finds only the cold dread of a strategist who's run out of moves. Predatory red eyes flare in the darkness. Not Caleb's eyes. Something much faster. Something that's been waiting. A blur of motion. A jagged blade. The possessed rogue descends with the speed of a nightmare. The turn begins now. Urnal shrinks back, her resolve finally breaking under the rogue's crushing presence. Caleb feels the cold breath of death on his neck, but even now his mind is already calculating. It's a bad matchup, but every puzzle has a solution. Urnal breaks. Tears are the only thing she has left in a world that demands her blood. Fear is a heavy weight, and she's carrying it alone. Caleb's red eyes flare, cutting through the dread. Even with the cold sweat of realization on his skin, his mind is already dissecting the rogue's patterns. A bad matchup is just another puzzle to solve. Urinil wipes her eyes, clinging to the only anchor she has in this lightless tomb. Caleb doesn't offer hollow words. His silence is the only reassurance she needs to keep standing. Caleb raises his wand, a subtle, dangerous smirk playing on his lips. The boss thinks it has the advantage of speed, but it's about to learn that in his world, the player always dictates the turn. A quiet promise of slaughter follows. In a dusty tavern, a dwarf named Virchnin looks like he's seen a ghost, or something much worse. 100-word spells cast in a second, pure insanity. The bartender isn't buying it. A once-in-a-century genius, wearing a slave collar? Local man discovers fanfiction in real life. He smirks. To him, the depths of the labyrinth are just a place where stories grow taller as the ale gets weaker. Virchnin slams his mug down. Some truths are too heavy for a skeptic's ears. The air in the room is starting to thin. The bartender's laughter is a taunt. He thinks he's safe behind his counter, far from the monsters that actually exist. Virchnin chugs the rest. If the world wants to stay blind to the slave mage, let it. Reality doesn't care about your opinion. The smile remains oily and patronizing. This is the face of a man who's about to have a very bad day. If you don't want to believe it, then don't. The classic, I told you so in the making. Suspense is free. Proof is expensive. Virchnin laughs back. He knows what's coming. The labyrinth always sends a receipt. The tavern goes quiet, the kind of quiet that usually precedes a disaster. Or a god. Then, a roar of mana pressure hits. It isn't just a sound. It's a physical weight crushing every ego in the room. Lady Burton bursts in, her face a mask of absolute horror. Behind her is Clarence, looking like a debt collector for the divine. Virgin stands. The tavern jokes are over. Power just walked through the door, and it's looking for answers. The lady's grief is a sharp, jagged thing. Desperation smells a lot like expensive perfume and ozone. She's breaking. Clarence catches her, his eyes fixed on the target. No emotion. Just Tier 5 coldness. Clarence isn't here to play nice. He's here for the person who found his brother's ID. The slave mage isn't a rumor anymore. He's a target. His eyes glow with a lethal icy blue. When nobility is this quiet, someone usually ends up dead or rich. Most likely dead. Virchnin feels the stare. It's like being under a microscope held by a bored god. Time to speak or disappear. Clarence commands the room without saying a word. The air is so heavy, the floorboards should be cracking. Major main character energy. Virchnin pulls out the proof, Avicen's ID card. The paper-thin barrier between life and a very expensive funeral. Clarence looks at it. The realization sinks in. His brother is gone, but his focus doesn't flicker. Cold, ruthless, consistent. The bartender has finally stopped laughing. Sweating is a great cardio for skeptics. His tavern is now a war room. Clarence makes it clear. No matter the cost, find the genius who found the body. A reward for a hero, or a bounty for a monster. Lady Burton is a shell of herself, but Clarence is just getting started. The price for finding Caleb has been set, and the tavern smells blood. In the shadows, a lizardman watches, his eyes reflecting nothing but gold coins. He's about to step into the light with a deal he thinks they can't refuse. Poor guy. The lizardman, unnamed, thinks he's in a position to bargain. How much are you willing to offer? Famous last words. Greed has a funny way of making people forget who they're talking to. Look at that grin. The face of a man who hasn't realized he's standing in front of a Tier 5 disaster. His luck just ran out. Clarence? Yay, tidy, Burton. Doesn't do negotiations. Be quiet, please. It's a command, not a request. The temperature in the room just dropped to absolute zero. Reality hits like a freight train. The lizardman's smugness melts into a cold sweat under the weight of pure, unadulterated mana pressure. He's finally understanding his place. Bravado is a cheap shield when the air itself starts to crush your lungs. He flees, a predator turned prey in a heartbeat. Nobility isn't just a title here, it's a death sentence for the arrogant. Clarence is unmoved. A pillar of cold duty in a room full of noise. He doesn't have time for pests, and he certainly doesn't have time for pity. Lady Burton watches, her worry mounting. Verdning can only watch in shock. He thought he was a warrior until he saw what real power looks like. Terrifying. Absolute. Unstoppable. Clarence's eyes glow with Tier 5 intensity. He isn't looking for a body anymore. He's looking for the genius who found it. The hunt has officially begun. Back in the dark, Caleb's red eyes are fixed on the future. The game has changed, and he's the only one who knows the rules. The grind has officially started. A fire, a moment of rest. But in the labyrinth, stillness is just an invitation for the hungry. Caleb and Urnil sit in the flickering orange light. But the silence is heavy. The larva Avacyn's remains is failing. The clock is ticking, and the smell of rot will soon be a dinner bell for every monster in these tunnels. Time is the one thing they don't have. It's cracking. Caleb watches the preservation magic fail. Urnil is horrified, but Caleb doesn't panic. He calculates. Emotion is a luxury he can't afford. The math is simple. He needs level 5. He needs it now. Survival isn't a hope. It's a technical requirement. Logic over everything. Red eyes. A cold, tactical focus. Caleb doesn't hope for survival. He engineers it. He's already seeing 3 turns ahead. Urnil sits in the silence, waiting for the next order. She's learned that Caleb's quiet moments are more dangerous than his noise. The air is thick with anticipation. A small, dark smile. The plan is formed. It's going to be efficient. It's going to be a bloodbath. He's ready to tear this place apart. Caleb stands. Do exactly as I say. The birth of a monster or the survival of a god. In this place, they're the same thing. Urnil can only follow. The mana flares. This is the hellish training he promised. No mercy, no wasted movement. Caleb's eyes are glowing with a lethal intent. Fire. Pure, searing destruction. The tunnels light up with the screams of goblins who never stood a chance. It's not a fight, it's an execution. The goblins are confused. They thought they were the hunters. Cute. Now they're just fuel for the grind. They didn't sign up for this. Lightning follows. Blue arcs of death tearing through the darkness. Fast. Violent. Perfect. Caleb is a storm in human form. Caleb stands between fire and lightning. A dual-casting nightmare. Urnil can only watch as he rewrites the rules of the labyrinth. Efficiency is his only god. He looks back, a predatory grin on his face. Pardon? He's just getting started. This isn't a struggle, it's a slaughter. He's playing a different game now. Caleb turns the labyrinth into his personal training ground. Fire and lightning rain down with surgical precision, moving far faster than Urnil can even track. He doesn't waste a single breath. Every kill is a calculated step toward the breakpoint, turning level 5 into an unavoidable reality. The tunnels are about to be stained red. Industrial-scale slaughter. Fire and lightning paint the tunnels in the colors of a mass grave as Caleb and Urnil clear the path. No wasted movements, just pure efficiency. Caleb's eyes are cold. Every spell cast is a calculated investment in his survival. Empathy is a resource he simply doesn't have. Just another body, just another number in the grind to level 5. The labyrinth doesn't care if you're a monster or a victim, as long as you're dead. Urnil keeps firing, her arrows guided by lightning. She's learned the hard way that pausing for breath is an invitation for the darkness to swallow her whole. Explosions rock the corridor. This isn't a battle. It's a cleaning service. Caleb is purging the tunnel with a violence that feels industrial. Loot hits the floor with the satisfying clatter of a jackpot. Magic stones are the only currency that matters in this hellhole. Every one of them is a step closer to the breakpoint. Urnil is gasping for air. The hellish training is living up to its name. Growth hurts, and Caleb is making sure it hurts just enough to stick. A goblin shaman enters the chat holding a glowing scroll. He thinks he's the boss fight. In Caleb's eyes, he's just a walking loot box. Caleb doesn't wait for a monologue. He runs, a predatory blur in the half-light. The shaman's future just got very short. The carnage is over. Caleb sits by the fire inspecting his winnings. Well done, he says. But his mind is already 3 turns ahead. Knowledge is power, but in the labyrinth, knowledge is the only thing that keeps you from becoming a stain on the floor. Caleb doesn't read for fun. He reads for an edge. Urnil has reached her absolute limit. Her eyes are literally spinning. The grind broke her spirit before the goblins could even get close. Talk about a rough first day. Exhaustion looks like a drooling mess. This is the reality of power leveling. It's not glorious, it's a grueling, ugly struggle for every single point of experience. Time for the rough strategy. Caleb prepares the necessary items by the fire. He's not a hero, he's an engineer of survival. Not a second is wasted. A barrel full of water and magic stones. In the hands of a pro, this is a tactical nuke waiting to happen. Simple, brutal, effective. I'll sleep first. Caleb's idea of a break is just another layer of his plan. Urnil can only laugh through her fatigue. Even her gratitude is part of his calculation. Urnil stands over him, a dark silhouette with glowing red eyes. A terrifying image or psychological manipulation, or maybe just the weight of the labyrinth manifesting. Caleb isn't bothered. He's the one who created this version of her. Caleb feels the exhaustion. Sweat and grime are just the taxes you pay to stay on the right side of the grass. The pressure is mounting. Urnil is overjoyed. Maybe she's finally lost her mind, or maybe she's finally found the strength to smile in hell. In this place, they're often the same thing. She calls out to him with a genuine warmth that feels out of place among the cold stone. A brief flicker of humanity before the next slaughter begins. A faint, predatory smirk. Caleb knows he's won this round. The system is about to reward his ruthlessness. The chime of the system sounds like a choir in the dark. Level 5 reached. The breakpoint is here, and the world is about to realize Caleb isn't trapped in the labyrinth. The labyrinth is trapped with him. New special ability selection unlocked. The game is about to get very, very unfair for his enemies. The pro player just found his favorite tool. Hooked. Hypnotized. The exit. Freedom is just a heavy stone door away. Or so it seems. Urnil looks horrified. She isn't ready for what lies behind that door. Caleb is already at his limit. Sweat and heavy breathing are his only companions. But looking at Caleb's new armor, her fear turns into pure, unadulterated judgment. Typical. A man in a giant eggshell, an elf with an oak barrel, and a bug on a leash. The ultimate raid party. Peak performance looks weird sometimes. The doors creak open. Darkness spills out like a warning. A cave of cold crystal. A throne for a king who lost his soul long ago. Hernan sits there, or what's left of him, a puppet of the maze. Caleb raises his stick. No chance, no hesitation, just the cold calculation of a survivor. The madness wakes up. A red sigil, a jagged grin, and eyes that haven't seen light in years. He moves. Not like a human, but like a glitch in reality. Speed is his only language. Red slashes tear through the air. A high-level rogue doesn't give you time to think. Time stops. The world turns blue. It's your turn. Game on. In the frozen moment, the hunter becomes the prey. Caleb stares down death at point-blank range. One mistake means a spear through the chest. He won't let it happen again. Lightning flickers. The strategy begins with a single spark of mana. Pure energy crackles. Caleb isn't just fighting. He's manipulating the very code of this world. Hernan struggles against the invisible walls of the turn-based system. It's a frustrating way to die. The floor shatters. The impact of a master who knows exactly where to hit. Urnil tips the barrel. Water cascades, soaking the target in an instant. Phase 1 complete. A drenched rogue is a slow rogue. Fear starts to creep into those glowing red eyes. Ice pick. Caleb casts the finisher. The frozen status effect is unavoidable now. But Hernan isn't just a mindless monster. He slips into the shadows to escape the trap. Shadow leap. The rogue retreats into the darkness, desperate to break the rhythm of Caleb's turn. Caleb doesn't chase. He just adjusts his grip, preparing to anchor the environment and turn the shadows into a cage. Caleb channels his mana into the environment. Every variable must be controlled. Urnil takes the shot. Precision is the only thing keeping them alive. The cave erupts in a torrent of water and ice. A forced terrain change. Caleb doesn't blink. He's not a slave anymore. He's the architect of this slaughter. The impact is absolute. A localized freeze to halt the rogue's momentum. Hernan is cornered in a blue, frozen wasteland. Nowhere to run. No shadows to hide in. The possessed man snarls. Rage is the only thing left in that hollow vessel. A brief smirk. Caleb thinks he has the upper hand. He's wrong. The rogue's speed defies the system's logic. He moves before the turn ends. The eggshell armor shatters. His only shield is gone, leaving him naked and vulnerable. Nice while it lasted. Get back! Caleb resets his stance. Panic is a luxury he can't afford. A dagger left in the ice, a warning of what's to come. A streak of blue light. The rogue is repositioning for the final blow. He's smiling. The predator loves it when the prey struggles for life. Caleb signals Yahello. They need to find a way behind him to break his focus. Speed. Elf ears twitch as the sound of death approaches from the side. Yahello provides cover fire. A desperate attempt to slow down a superior enemy. The rogue clings to the walls like a spider. They're just flies in his web now. Red eyes burning through the shadows. The kill is coming. It's inevitable. Claws and red mana. Hernan is a blur of murderous intent. He leaps to the ceiling, preparing to rain down hell from above. He reaches for something on his belt. A wild card. A grenade. Fun. Logic doesn't apply to a possessed killer. He's going to blow them both to hell. Caleb's eyes widen. He sees the end approaching. A steel grenade midair. He can't stop it. 15 seconds. A death sentence ticking away in the silence. He's cornered, helpless, and out of time. A smirk. The calm before the slaughter begins. Caleb turns his wand on the larva, his only companion in this hell. Purple ichor splatters the cold floor. Sacrifice is the only language the maze understands. He doesn't look back. Regret is a luxury slaves can't afford. Focus. 10 meters. The distance between a dead man and a survivor. Kill bonus +2. The system rewards his cold-blooded betrayal. Slasher's momentum. A turn gained for a life lost. A developer's cheat code written in blood. Dragging a pet through a dungeon just to use it as a battery. Efficiency is heartless. Hernan is a blur in the air. 10 meters out and closing in fast. The rogue lunges for the kill. Caleb doesn't flinch. Not today. Teeth grit. Sweating. The weight of existence balanced on a wooden stick. Lightning shock. A single, precise spark to ignite the end. The bolt doesn't aim for the man. It aims for the grenade on his belt. Bully. Fire and smoke shatter the ceiling. A tactical masterpiece in the middle of chaos. I did it. Caleb breathes. Cheating death has a very specific metallic flavor. Yahello stares in horror. She's watching a man become a monster just to stay alive. Silence returns to the cave. Only the smell of ozone and burnt flesh remains. The backdraft hits. Hernan is tossed aside like a discarded toy. Gravity is a cruel master. Frozen. Broken. The boss is now just a discarded memory on the ice. Red eyes burn. The turn-based hourglass takes its pound of flesh from Caleb's mind. One final insurance policy. An arrow dipped in the rogue's own poison. Poetic. Yahello lets go. The end is a wooden shaft and a toxic tip. Close the curtains. Impact. The poison finds a new home in the rogue's dying chest. Full circle. A heavy sigh. The tension breaks, but the air in this cave is beginning to turn thick and lethal. Destroyed. A developer doesn't just win, he deletes the threat. But in this maze, even victory has a toxic cost. Poison gas fills the air. Hernan is trapped in a toxic cloud of his own making. Breathless. Broken. Caleb watches, red eyes burning with the cold light of calculation. He didn't just win. He solved the puzzle. The cave erupts in a final, violent flash. A brilliant erasure of the man who thought he was the hunter. Caleb lets out a guttural shout. Adrenaline is the only thing keeping his broken body from collapsing. Yahello is paralyzed by the sheer violence of it. Caleb, however, is already scanning the shadows for the next threat. The maze doesn't do happily ever after. 20 damage per second. Hernan isn't just dying. He's being deleted from the system by a glitch in the code. And he says, I finally found the like on this video that helps Sunraku make more juicy content for his viewers. Activate the cheeky little bell and I'm out.